Hello and welcome to episode 214 of the FReality Podcast. It's the holiday season here on the podcast. Are you one of those holiday types who can't keep in your excitement? Well, we've got a few of those. And neither can Belgium. So if you're an exotic fish and just want to break free, we're here to stuff your stockings with VR goodies and perhaps a crowbar so you can really let yourself go and swing among those tropical waters that you might have seen in Kayak VR this year. Festive spirits are definitely high, so here are today's topics. It's Game Showcase Snowmageddon. Upload VR sizzled us with a winter indie reel. The Game Awards dazzled, putting Hollywood to shame. Oh, and even ex-US President Bill Clinton got called out by name. Resolution Games, for their first one yet, cracked open a gift early that got us all wet. She's a tall lass, she is, big as the tree. But Sony knows you can't muck about with Lady D in 3D. Putting the angelic topper on our sparkling evergreen is Adam. So pull out a stepping stool and lend her a hand. She's got blinking lights to unravel before jobless Legolas comes barging in with this episode's releases. Now, we normally run through our highlights of the past 2 weeks, but chat, please tell us yours too. We'll read them out right here after introducing the crew. You might be noticing we're missing a gentleman today on the cast. He's off in California, probably sunning himself before Merry Christmas comes blasting through the speakers. So Jose's not with us today. And for those who are on the old radio, listening to us in the car or on your way to work or whatever, cleaning the dishes, you won't hear his dulcet tones today. All right, here we go. Crew intro. The Witcher, the Warlock, and the kitty cat who just can't keep 4 legs on the ground because he's got beautiful plumage just like you. He got tackled and twisted, beaten and shifted. He had enough of being tough, so now hides behind a kitten that's buff. That's Rowdy.
Yes, I have to say I had a very buff kitten or dog. I'm still not entirely sure. Like I think it was like a hyena. Hyena or something like that.
Oh, good point.
Hyena with like cat-like ears or something. I don't know. I know it's called an astral cat in Demeo, but I'm still gonna call it a dog because I like dogs. You know, screw that.
It's my story. That's right.
It's my story,
so,
guys.
So you put this dog cat thing out in front of you to take all the hits. And now you're calling it a dog too. Won't even let it identify as a cat.
Well, it's better than just collecting all the coins all over the map while the rest of us dies him.
Hey.
Or, going invisible way in the back instead of way in the front. I'm gonna stealth back here. I'll get up there eventually.
God, I'm getting a bad name for myself. All right, Rowdy. Well, Rowdy, how's your last 2 weeks been aside from playing with cat dogs? And got any highlights for us?
Yeah, I mean, I think that my highlight, you already mentioned it, like playing Demeo together is always a highlight for me, I think. Other than that, I haven't really played anything new in VR. But yeah, I mean, I'm still digging away at like some older titles. As you might as well know from my previous episodes, I'm still not done with the game. I'm still going a little bit further into the Last Clockwinder. I haven't been playing it this week, but I played it the week before that again. But yeah, great game. Perfect for the Christmas holidays, and I think Demeo is a close second to that for me as well.
Oh, very good. Great titles. Absolutely. You play either of them, play both of them, Rowdy's recommendation. Next up, this one, she's bad, she's bold, and she's nippy. She simply wouldn't put up with Rowdy's cute kitty. When her day job's not enough, she'll find a behemoth and scrub his wart-covered feet and stuff. Say hello to our own personal hygiene expert. It's Adam Bombardi.
Oh, God. I'm always all over every week, I think, or I guess every 2 weeks, since that's when we do the podcast. But in particular, this past week, I had asked Twitter on like, hey, what are some, because, I don't know if you could tell, but I really love Christmas.
Wow.
I think
yes.
that's very
No,
obvious.
you can't tell. No.
But so I asked like, hey, what VR games have some kind of Christmas update or holiday update, whether that's skins or just decorations or whatever. And I got an overwhelming response. So I haven't been like deeply playing anything more than just like going into all these games just to see what kind of festive stuff they've done. And I'm impressed. Like it's like I did out of all of the random ones, because I happen to have it, Devour. That one was kind of meh in their Christmas update. That one's
Devour
that was kind of like
game?
well, they have a Christmas update. So these don't have to be Christmas games, just games that have holiday updates. So like
as long as
Devour
and sauce, right.
Yeah, it's just like if you take a serial killer and you have them wear blinking Christmas lights, then they're festive. Yeah, all of a sudden.
It's true.
So yeah, I played the most festive games to start off with, which were Devour and Phasmophobia, because that's what everyone thinks of when they think of Christmas.
Did you literally go hunting for the Christmas spirit, you know?
Well, what happens
Phasmophobia?
In Phasmophobia, it's interesting because they changed it where you have to find cookies in each of the maps now. So you need 6 cookies, and then once you have the 6, when the ghost kind of appears briefly, you have to have the ghost eat the cookies. But what I did was I literally, the ghost appeared and I shoved the plate nearby, and then it would eat them, and then it would turn into the Santa ghost thing, and then it would pretty much immediately kill somebody. But it was fun. I mean, it was festive.
Wow. Nice.
So just been hopping and seeing all the weird, well, not all of them are weird, but all of the interesting ways that different VR games are doing Christmas or holiday stuff. So that's been fun. Eventually I'll compile a neat list somewhere, but that's going to take some time. But it'll be out before Christmas, but just as soon as possible, because it's a lot.
Well, that's nice. I am definitely looking forward to that list. The thing that gets me with like seasonal updates, particularly Halloween or Easter or whatever it is, right, is that they wash in and then oftentimes they wash out, and sometimes they're just single serving. Like you can't ever play that again, even the next Christmas cycle. I am thankful to Minecraft, who around the holidays, all of the boxes turn into Christmas presents. And so that's really nice and even if you just go in and you don't think about it and you're like, oh, I'm playing Minecraft, everything is like very festive immediately when you get in. So looking forward to your list then, Adam, as you come back to us. I was alluding earlier in that intro to a weird foot scrubbing game that you were playing for TikTok, which looked, it's a nice tie-in to Behemoth, which we'll talk about later. But, should a big giant need a bit of a trimming on the toenails, I suppose you're the last for the job then. But that looked the opposite of a foot fetish. That looked disgusting.
It was. That's an older game too. That one's Ashy Wash, which even has a gross name. But yeah, it just it's a VR game where you can just clean a giant foot. You've got flies that are on it. You've got crusty bits. You've got giant toenails, and it's I don't like feet, so it was a challenge for me to get through. Let's just say that.
I wanted a shower after watching that. Anyway, what have Chap been up to this week? I'm just looking through. Saw PD signing off for Carmack, which we'll talk about a little bit later on. Anything else?
They're going over their favorite Christmas movies. I saw
movies.
Oh, I approve. I love this conversation now.
This is a good question. All right. Festive Adam, what's your favorite Christmas movie?
I have 2. I like, for the classic, I like Jingle All the Way, because I think Arnold Schwarzenegger in a Christmas movie, I just love that one. Maybe it's because I was little when I saw it. And then a more slightly modern is, I do like Elf. I know it's not, what a shock. But I would say 2. I have those 2 as my favorites.
That's good. We're allowed. You have an extra quotient because Jose's not here. So you can take both of those. Rowdy, what about you? You got one?
I don't know. Christmas at our family has always been weird because, it coincides with my birthday. So it's like, you can't really celebrate Christmas if it's someone's birthday, right? So I think, what I like to watch in that entire Christmas period up until New Year's Eve, I like to watch a lot of Mr. Bean. I love the Mr. Bean stuff, all of those episodes. That's typically what I would watch. But I don't know if that's really Christmassy. But that's kind of nostalgia for me, and that works for me. Yeah,
I think that totally counts. Is Rowan Atkinson is he still playing Mr. Bean? And has there been a recent Bean movie? I don't know what he's doing.
No, I don't think so. No, he did a recent series on Netflix, which was a similar character. No, right. It was like about like I think like a fly, and he was home-sitting, and no, it was a bee. It was a bee, yeah, and it was a bee that was like messing everything up, and he was destroying the entire house, like trying to like get the bee. It's hilarious, but yeah, that's maybe the closest thing to Mr. Bean what he's done. Yeah,
very very good. I saw The Godfather in chat. That's a bit of a fun one. Dark Angel said Die Hard is the best Christmas movie. I have to say I am in the Die Hard. Like I love that. I love the fact that I don't know when it happened, how it happened. Die Hard being a Christmas movie, absolutely believe in that. We'll talk a little bit about that actually a little bit later on. I can't say I have a specific favorite, but we'll say Die Hard for the sake of it. So
right.
On to my highlight. Honestly, we're going to be talking about topics that cross probably several things that were highlights for me. I've had a very busy 2 weeks in the run-up now as we head towards Christmas. There were really too many highlights for me to pick one. Had a Breachers event, got to play with Mike and Nathy, so that was nice reconnecting with those guys. Well, aww. I say that, but Mike shot me in the head quite a lot. Nathy taught me to dance on tables, as would be his standard thing. Got to play Demeo with the crew. That was super fun. It was our first like multiplayer game together. So like all the personalities start coming out. It was really good. Jose, who was playing as Barbarian, got to play on his Pro in mixed reality. Love to hear from him how that went. I was kind of holding that for now, but maybe we'll catch that on the next cast. And then I got to play their new game Spatial Ops with my daughter. So spent time, cleared out the basement. Been doing that actually just before launch, and then tried to take on doing that, streaming that live. That is not easy. But we managed it. I was very happy with what we got. I just unfortunately had noise suppression on my vocal track, so it muted most of the in-game sounds, despite a rat's nest of
Seems
cables
like you have
down
a lot of problems doing audio, right? Because where's the Demeo recordings, Em?
I had the podcast's audio on the wrong channel or something. It didn't record it, didn't make it into the track. So we'll certainly do that. I'm still planning a hopefully holiday, maybe January, live stream with the four of us. That would be good fun to do. Get us four playing again. Yeah. So if any ideas, things you'd like to see the crew play, let us know. But with that, we'll swap things around this week. Okay. We normally have quite a meaty newsreel up front. Instead, I'm going to shove that to the end, and we're going to get straight into the long sea of game showcases that we have, because there's a lot of updates that we've gotten. Absolutely massive Christmas box to unwrap. But before we do that, couldn't be happier than to host Resolution Games as our sponsor, returning sponsor for the third time now, for FReality Podcast. Obviously a special time for us and them, given they put so much into their showcase, which we'll talk about a bit later on. They shared some grand news of the world this week, and that's echoing around the world, asking, what is your resolution this year? Well, Resolution Games have a game for everyone. They've got Demeo, Blaston, Ultimex, Akron, Cookout, and Bait. In the VR world, this star of a studio does even more with every passing year. And with that, Resolution Games held their first ever Resolution Games showcase just this past week. I got to say, it was immaculately shot, hosted by founder and CEO Tommy Palm, and joined by members of the Resolution Games team. It's really nice seeing a lovely cross-section to some of the faces behind the curtain. Community manager Sewell, for example, was on there. Tommy himself, a few others. It was really nice to see that. But you can see from their showcase, they really want to make a game for everybody's tastes. We got the new trailer for Demeo, a multiplayer update for Bait, a free one for friends to enjoy with Blaston, a new game called Spatial Ops, and even a taster for their pipeline in 2023, which we'll talk about a little later on. But it was really a blast and the perfect punctuation mark as 2022 winds to a close. So we're so happy to see them thrive and show that they are absolutely marketing pros. We'll have a bit more about that later on when we cover the games in a bit more rich detail. So now on to the showcase rundown. I did get to watch all three of them live in full. Enjoyed every one of them, honestly. We'll talk about them in chronological order. I'll take the cruise reflections, whether they got a chance to. Did you guys get a chance to watch, or just kind of fed bits on the web?
That's what I did.
Upload VR, I watched all of. The Game Awards, I watched what I could while I was trying to get my Steam Deck, and then Resolution, I watched parts because I was a little earlier on in the day. But
you were trying to get your Steam Deck, weren't lucky though.
No, I did see some interesting names pop up for winners though, so that was fun.
I'm trying to remember one. I don't know if it's broadcast worthy, but
I don't know. I'll keep it safe.
Yeah, there were some funny names that were popping up. So that was alluding to the fact that Valve were giving out a Steam Deck every minute. I thought that giveaway worked out pretty well, but I was surprised that there wasn't something like to kind of pull you in. Anyway, we'll talk about the Game Awards in a little bit later. So good to know you've each kind of dabbled in bits. So maybe I'll teach you something while we go through as well. Something maybe that hit under the rug that you didn't catch. And for those who didn't obviously watch or listen, today is a digest, so hopefully you can cover all the main bits. Okay, so they broadcasted live and we're going to do this in chronological order. So Upload was first. That was their winter showcase on December 7th. Then the Game Awards, which is phenomenal, huge, massive stage, great names, everybody in one place. As I said in the intro, it really did put Hollywood to shame, I felt. They did an excellent job there. And that was on December 8th. And then we had Resolution Games and their showcase on December 15th. So it's been an absolute smorgasbord of content that we've had kind of channeled our way. So starting with Upload. This really was a sizzle reel of content. And as such, because it was a real machine gun of things, hearkening back to The Godfather there, I picked out just 10, which stood out to me as the most interesting. But I'll encourage the crew to mop up anything I missed. That got them excited, so we don't miss any fan favorites. So first off, as this one's been on my to-do list for some time in my Steam wish list, by Vertigo Games, Maskmaker. We talked about this a little bit last time, and I won't go into much detail, but by the same studio who brought us the lovely Arizona Sunshine and Fisherman's Tale, has been ported from Steam to Quest, and that's just out for fans of puzzlers. So Maskmaker, again, I can't say I know too much in depth about the story, but it looks very intriguing, and the Quest port looks good. So keen on doing that one. The next one up is a fast travel games game. So FTG. This is Ghost Signal. And what they announced was that this could be entirely controlled through hand tracking. We've only had a few games tackle that. What I like in particular about Ghost Signal is that it really looks like an eerie universe. Big monsters, colorful starscapes. It's very different from the Eve Valkyrie and Elite Dangerous worlds, which were really like dark, realistic, universes for you to explore. This is a little bit more in the fantasy realm or sci-fi. And so it's a real visual treat, and I hope it'll be just as much fun to play it. Hand-driven titles can be relaxing because you can just, sit on the couch or whatever and whip your headset out. Forget the controllers, forget the Guardian boundary, just stationary Guardian, set up with your hands or whatever and play away. Games that I like to play in that respect are Tetris Effect, for example. Those are really fun. But those require controllers. So if you want to get even more relaxed and just, have your headset with you and play a game, Ghost Signal looks like another one for us to check out. More teams are now dabbling in hand tracking only.
I like they've taken certain concepts from their City Skyline game and integrated it in here. I like that.
What are you seeing? What are you seeing in the blend?
The the micromanagement of some of the things that you need to do and the upgrading. I mean, I haven't played the game, of course, but it seems like you need to make certain decisions or certain things about what you're going for. I like that. Yeah.
It's got kind of like an FTL or From Other Suns vibe to it as well.
Yeah.
Where you're running a story and you, like you said, you have to kind of make decisions that will determine your outcome. Mm-hmm. So that gets me warm and cozy. I'm really interested in cuddling up to that next year. Next up, for those who are into perhaps the Drop Dead series of zombie games, if you are a zombie fan, although I got to say, coming out of the Upload showcase, I felt a little bit zombie shell shock because there were quite a few of them.
There was a lot.
It was are we still doing this? I know we'd had an era that was World War I, World War II, and then it was zombie time, and I feel like zombie time had passed, but apparently not. Apparently we're still in zombie time. So this is the cabin. I do like the build of this. This is really neat. It's a challenging playthrough where you've got to remix each run. So there are certain set elements in the game, like weapon drops, objectives, and stuff like that, that in this co-op zombie shooter, your objective is to get to a helicopter, like keep the generator powered long enough, fight off the waves of zombies, then get picked up and get the feck out of there. So one thing that's been called out by Twitter, and I think it's right, and I'll talk to this a little later again. Everything's later in the podcast, right? So you got to keep listening. Is it features meta avatars, right? Built into the game. And some people were saying this is really a stark contrast, like zombie game, meta avatar. What do you guys think of that?
It looks weird. Like they look too cartoony compared to. I mean, the game itself isn't like heavy gore, but it still looks very dark and serious. And you've got this like peppy little avatar. It does look very strange.
I'm a little bit on the opposite end, I think, of this, just because like the reason why they're all peppy and all happy is because it's meta, right? But maybe this is to convince meta to like give more flexibility in terms of creating your avatars, because I personally think it's cool that you can bring in your own avatar, but maybe the tools that meta provides in order to making those avatars aren't that extensive yet, and maybe they should be. Because I would like to make like when you play a game and you make a character, right? You want it to suit the game, or you want it to suit whatever it is, but if the tools are not there to make that, then it's kind of responsibility for them, right? I like bringing my own character in there though.
I'm glad it's there. I think lighting needs to address some of the effect that Adam is pointing out. I also do see a disparity between the two. As I said, you might be able to do that with a shader or something just to make your character look a bit more grungy or darker, not mismatch with kind of the artist's intentions for the game. But this being plugged into a number of games, I wonder if Meta has incentivized developers in some way. Rowdy, you touched on the point that it's a benefit anyway. If it's just an API call to kind of plug in the avatar and you don't have to build that system yourself, saves you in dev time, quicker to market, blah, blah, blah.
But there should be more tools available for like making a wide, not everyone, if I want to look like a pink alien with 6 arms, I should be able to do that. These are the kind of things that if you really want to do that avatar kind of thing, then you need to provide people with the tools to make the avatar look as ridiculous or as cool as you want it to be.
I got to think that's in their pipeline. You guys remember remember Mark's Metaverse when they had those videos and they had the big robot sitting at the table with a bunch of different avatars? It almost looked like a really upgraded version of like a VR chat world.
Yeah.
So
that's also a little bit
that's
like
in their pipeline.
Yeah, but that's also a little bit, of course, a sales talk, right? That's the whale jumping out of the gym floor, right? From an unnamed previous company.
I think it's a bit of the sales talk in another way, though. I think they're going to end up selling pieces of avatars or complete avatars. So you can look like a human for now, and we'll talk about this a bit later again. God, I feel like a repeated thing now. But like they're starting to sell items, right? To customize your body, to customize yourself. They put a mirror in front of you so you can look at yourself and be reminded constantly, oh, I'm not wearing designer jeans. I might want to spruce myself up to look good in front of my friends. So I think it's all this kind of collective thing. Sorry, Adam, you had something there as well.
Oh, I was gonna say, I wonder then eventually if each game will kind of have custom avatar cosmetics that go with their game. So if you did want to sort of match up with the game better, you can. I don't know what the specifics would be for a zombie game, maybe like torn up jeans or clothes, but I could definitely see them doing that. And especially if then they're gonna, in addition, you're gonna have to buy that separately. So then some money's going to the developers and some money's going to Meta, or whether it's going to be, buy the game, you get these cosmetics unlocked with it for your avatar that you can use in any game from henceforth or whatever. Yeah, but I can definitely see them going that direction.
It's kind of like what Rec Room does with their games, right? If you finish a certain mission or you finish something, then you get something from there. You can show it off, and that works really well, and Oculus has done that before, and I'm saying specifically Oculus because it wasn't Meta. Well, I mean, back then they were Meta. That they did the reverse. If you finished or acquired like a reward in game, then you would get like something to place in your Oculus home, which I thought was a really cool idea. Yeah,
this is exactly where I think they're going. I think it's going to be a two-way street because they already have, for example, Golf Plus has their own clothing that you can get. and as I said, I'll talk a little bit more later. We'll show some bits about this, but so you can get those branded clothing, not just brands like Tommy Hilfiger or whatever else, but you're seeing this like two-way partnership between Meta and developers, where they're going to get a revenue cut for whatever they're selling, I presume, and Meta's getting their cut for hosting it on the platform, and this kind of two-way exchange starts to be something that you can carry with you back into your home environment. You can carry with you into other games, so you can look how you want to look. And Meta doesn't have to pay to develop that content. They kind of just give the tools to developers, and then are gatekeeper and making money at the toll.
In a much simpler sense, remember when people actually decorated their Steam VR homes and stuff, and you could get like awards and achievements and trophies and stuff, and you could put that in your home. It's kind of like that, but if they actually follow through with it, I guess.
Sure. Yeah. I used to love the Oculus implementation of that, where you had, you spent certain hours in the game and you'd unlock a box, and then you'd get this thing that you could show off in your home. The problem is the interconnectivity didn't come. Like it was there. You could bring people to your house, but there didn't seem to be a cohesive reason. And then they had so many different ecosystems that it just broke apart and was left by the wayside. Anyway, so we've talked about Maskmaker, Ghost Signal, the Cabin. Let's move on to the next one, which is Per Aspera. This one is really interesting to me. It's a colonized Mars game. So we haven't had many like this. Again, in the kind of strategy department, like the thinking person's department. Reminds me a bit of Darknet, for those who maybe have played that, which was a hacker game where you were trying to hack and earn Bitcoin and stuff. Excellent game, by the way. And it might be a kind of a stealthy epic, might sneak in under the covers here. You've got real like topographical maps from Mars, from veritable space agencies. I'm going to guess that's NASA. And your mission is to basically terraform Mars. Just like, strategy builder games like SimCity, there are going to be things that happen, like an asteroid's going to blast into the planet. You're going to lose power, to your establishments. So looks interesting. We've only really gotten a sneak peek now, but keen on that one. That's coming next year.
Yeah. For me, I mean, I love these kind of games. Like you all know that I love like anything with like a little bit of a strategy or like management element to it. I love that kind of stuff. My immediate question though is like, is this suited for VR? The way that they've done this? Like that's the way that I'm wondering, like, cause I would love to see more of these kind of games in VR. But like looking at the trailer, I'm immediately wondering, isn't this like what I'm supposed to be playing on a flat screen?
I know. And some games do not translate well. And that's the same thing that I thought when I got into Darknet. I was like, this is a flat game. Why am I playing this? But there was something about the spatial surround that worked very well.
Right.
And Per Aspera, and I think the game that we were just talking about, Ghost Signal by Fast Travel, have kind of similar feel to them. Per Aspera does feel a little bit more flat, less kind of scaled in terms of the lack of, from what we've seen so far, no giant monsters or anything like that. Not saying that has to come in. But I hear you, Rowdy, in terms of
no, it's
reaction.
not that I mean, I haven't played the game, obviously. Like, I don't know how it will be, but like, from seeing these kind of things, it just immediately makes me wonder, like, what is the, like, because I think that these kind of things work in VR. I think that things can be done in VR, but I think that there needs to be like a really creative team that does something special with this. Because I would have said the same if like people would have asked me about board games. Like if like Demeo, like should you be playing this on a flat screen? But having played Demeo and the way that the developers have done that, I'm like, this is amazing in virtual reality.
But take Catan, for example. Catan VR, which launched on Go and it's now available on Quest. That's more traditional board game, whereas Demeo adds flair and also brings you into the action, right?
Exactly.
And
I think those kind of things are important for a virtual reality game. Just like converting it from a flat screen and then like having like a floating menu or something, I don't think are enough for me to like say, like, yeah, this is perfect in VR. It needs to be something like Demeo. It needs to like bring something more, something additional. Because you can play Demeo perfectly on a flat screen. I mean, there's a flat screen version as well, right? But
and
like,
it's great.
And it's
PC
fantastic.
edition is so good. Yeah.
But in VR, I think it's cooler.
It is cooler. I agree. Curious about you, Adam. I don't know if I asked you before. You a strategy gal or not so much?
No, not so much. I mean,
chainsaw.
It depends on the game, but I'm not like, I think especially the combination of strategy and space, I'm just kind of like zone out at that point. Because there are some, I mean, I did like XCOM, like turn-based stuff, but not
the modern one
yeah.
or the old one.
I think I liked the old one a little better, to be honest.
Good.
But it's a mix. It really depends. Yeah. So this combination of space and strategy, and I'm like,
What about like Red Alert? Any of those?
Well,
that's also like kind of spacey. And...
I mean, the closest I would get was maybe like StarCraft. Okay. But even then, it's not something I would go back to. Yeah. And then I guess with space in particular, I'd have to be planet side. You know what I mean? Like a No Man's Sky, not like a mostly flying in space.
Not like
sort
Elite,
of thing.
yeah, which is
yes, not like
bit of a yawn fest if you're looking for action. Yeah, I got it. I got it. Cool. Okay, so the next one on the list is Survival Nation. So this one looks, and again, if you're looking for something in the looks department, this looks like a mobile game. It's a low graphics survival title. And for me, the reason I'm spotting it here, because some might go, hey, that's like lo-fi VR. Why would you show it off? Is I'm always trying to scratch the itch of DayZ VR. This sports outdoor adventures, hunting, bears, scavenging, zombies, right? Multiplayer. So the question is the formula going to work? Don't know, right? I have my doubts from the trailer that we're seeing, but I'm glad someone's trying.
I like the look of it actually. I like the.
Do you?
I mean, I like the style of it. Yeah, I do. I'm not too big on like high fidelity graphics. It's not really a priority for me. But I like the way that it's set. Like I mean, I don't know the gameplay, and I saw just a pop up after like when they shot the deer. It was like a hit marker or something that got like shown, like health that got rid. Like those kind of things are for me a little bit like nah. Like could they do with the zombies as well? But like
exactly health bars.
Yeah.
You and I are similar on HUD. Like it's like anti-HUD. If you can take it away, take it away. Give me my version.
And if you can take it away in the game, why show it in the trailer? Like it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, the trailer should be as immersive as possible, right? And that's where mixed reality came in. And that's how Adam got started.
I was kind of, excited by this one at first because I was like, ooh, like I really want a good survival game in VR. So when they showed the hunting, right? The hunting and the fishing, and I was like, oh, cool, and then they brought out the zombie, and I'm like, man, this is just like everything. Because the graphics I didn't mind. Like for a survival game, I would sacrifice, knowing that it might be a bigger space or whatever. Yeah. But yeah, then they kind of did the zombie stereotypical thing.
I agree with you completely. Yeah.
100%. What was that song in the smoke? That's still a good shout out if people haven't caught up with that.
That's a really good one.
Probably the best on Quest survival was. I still want Subnautica to be VRified properly. I think the team is missing a beat on that one. Anyway, next up, here's a really cool thing. You remember when Dreams came to VR support for PSVR? Well, the Signifier is a dream reconstruction game that uses incredible rebuild technology to lean into the artifacts that you normally see in these things, where you're transforming and building a 3D scene with just flat photographs, and it does a stitching mechanism. This is a VR detective thriller, but it's focused on you taking a subject matter. I can't remember if they're dead or not. I think they are, and you're basically going into their memories and reconstructing their memories to kind of figure out facts. It looks pretty radical. Slated for early 2023. I thought this would get you on, Rowdy.
It reminds me, the way you're telling it reminds me, I don't know if people ever played that game. It's like a pixel art game, I think. It's called To the Moon. It's an amazing game.
I played that. That game made me cry.
It's on my list.
It's also about rebuilding memories and it's very, very,
it's a good
very
game.
Good, insanely good, yeah. But the story just reminded me of it a little bit.
Is this game going to make me cry too? I never played the flat version, by the way, but yeah, seeing this in VR, kind of like that volumetric capture look would be really cool, I think.
Yeah, the photogrammetry stuff, I've been following that for a long time. Probably the best example of it is Puzzling Places at the moment. That's great. Azad and his team have made an incredible game that's, again, a great one to just sit on the couch. If you're trying to demonstrate to someone over the holidays, you pick up a Quest. I can't think of a better game than Puzzling Places, because, again, it takes what is a flat tabletop game, which is puzzles, just standard puzzles in a puzzle box, and brings you into what feels like Google Earth and pieces of scenery that you reassemble. But the Signifier, to me, just the mechanism that they were showing, oh man, looks so cool.
Looks very nice, yeah.
Yeah, and speaking of things that really look cool, Vertigo 2. Finally, we got another chunk of teasers, a lot of information in the trailer. If you are anti-spoiler, I would recommend don't watch. But gameplay footage-wise...
Cover your eyes.
Gameplay footage-wise, this one I would say stole the show. We kind of expected it to, right? But there were a number of things that kind of surprised me there. You had choppy seas as the character is on a boat, an array of colorful and obviously well thought out weapons that you don't see in other games, like a crossbow with 4 components to it, like a crisscross. Really interesting. You had amazing bosses, including a lava fire giant and a mob that was like a baby T-Rex that charges you. Just some real cute stuff in here. And for those who aren't familiar with the first Vertigo, I recommend checking out Vertigo Remastered, which was redone, so it looks a bit better, looks a bit cleaner. The game has great comedy, so I can't wait for this one. The thing I like about it most, I think, is the unexpected. There's a lot coming from the dev here that isn't something you expect, and then you're playing it. It's funny, it looks great, and I'm really expecting a great single-player game.
Story is solid as well.
The story is really good. I mean, the first game, until you meet the big cat, scary stuff, right? But 30th of March, 2023. I remember the first Vertigo being probably the first game that gave me proper standing room scale experience with doors. When you step through a door in VR, but not using a joystick. I mean, actually step through a door, and it feels something different. Yeah, Vertigo 1 did that for me. So that's Vertigo 2. That's a kind of an awesome looking game trailer. Next, we had our favorite of the bunch. Joy is in the name. Joyway had triplets. Yes. So we had Red Flower, which is a Japanese-themed slicing action game. That was one that's out for people to be playing. Stack, reminiscent of Ricochet. Does anyone remember Ricochet? You got to be old to remember Ricochet. It was a Valve game.
God, yes.
Oh, right.
Like that was like one of the original that came out with Steam, right?
Yeah. I think if you got the Valve Complete Pack, whatever they called that, Ricochet was one that came. It came, I think, if I'm remembering, one of the original Half-Lives when they were doing the packaging. It was a multiplayer game where you had platforms and discs like Xena, and you'd like knock each other off. Really fun, actually. But if Hover Junkers, the universe, had a baby with Ricochet, you'd get Stack. And so Stack is a new game by Joyway. I thought I'd call it out. Again, I can't believe they're pumping even more titles out, and it's like, how many cautions have the community said to them? But obviously they're just trying to iterate like crazy. And then the third announcement was finally, after some time, to show that they're actually delivering on what they promised, was Stride Fates, which was a 1 hour campaign, which after less than a week got pulled. And they said, oh, we're not going to launch it. Never mind. People are not happy. We're gonna put our head down and work on a 5 hour campaign in 2023 instead. So that's Joyway. Man, someone's hyper on candy, because those devs, they just keep kicking stuff out the door. None of it looks bad. It's not trash. It's not acid bashing, but it is on a conceptual side and a completionist component, just very incomplete. They just keep throwing stuff out there looking for their gold mine, and I don't think they've found it yet.
But wait, there's more. That's kind of what I got during the showcase. It was always like but wait, there's more, and then there's like something else. But I mean, yeah, I think out of all of the three, because I hadn't played Stride, but Red Flowers, right? I believe that was the first one that they showed. That one looks interesting. I think that one's in beta now, but I haven't jumped into their Discord or wherever you have to get it, or App Lab or whatnot. But that one, I'd be willing to try it. But yeah, didn't they have also like a sort of like a fantasy shooter they were working on at one point too, or is that the same?
It got canned.
So that's kind of worrying. But
the thing is, right, this is a strategy, and actually it is known to work very well if you iterate. So if you do something 100 times versus doing it perfect 5 times, the person who's done it 100 times is more likely to succeed. It's just one of those formulas. So I can see what they're going for. I hope they end up making enough money that they can, see it through until they hit the gold vein. That's my only point right there.
Yeah.
So there's that. And then we got a trailer made in Windows Movie Maker for Attack on Titan, Unbreakable. I have no idea why this game has so much hype. I've played games that are like Attack on Titan in VR before. There is one on SideQuest I have not played, but I've played earlier versions of that from other devs. I'll be honest, I don't get this at all. Do either of you get into the whole like Attack on Titan vibe?
I mean,
I
really liked the anime. Like I loved the anime, but this trailer, it's kind of like the first Behemoth trailer where I'm like, wow. Attack on Titan's basically where like Titans are so each of the, I don't want to call them villages, but Titans started taking over the world, or at least this location in the world. So there's these different rings of, let's call them villages. If you're on the outest ring, you're kind of more screwed, so to speak, because that's the first line of defense against the Titan. It's basically like
it's like a giant like island that is surrounded by a giant wall, but the Titans try to breach the wall, and then they build like different inner walls in order to keep the Titans out. So they lose like sections each time of the giant city island that they build around, and they try to reclaim it. Basically.
But I will say, I'm not going to spoil it, but learning the story about or getting hints on the origins of the Titans is really cool. Like that's I think the most exciting part is finding out about the origins.
So I'm missing the lore. It's not just all about hopping on the back of Titans and stabbing them with swords.
That part's cool, but
probably the game is going to be like that. But like, I mean, I'm on the other end of the spectrum. I hate the series. I really don't like Attack on Titan. I not because it's bad, but just because it's so depressing. It's just such a dark series.
It's dark.
Like it's not something that you watch and you have an episode. It's like, okay, that was fun, you know. Like no, it's like, oh, damn, like it's a very nihilistic approach to doing anime. Yeah, because I watch a lot of anime and like I think I watched like 2 seasons and I think I read like the rest of the story as well. It's very very like depressing. Yeah. So
we're like perfectly organized then on today's podcast, right? Yeah. There's me in the middle on the wall, not sure what the feck this is. Rowdy is the devil on my left shoulder, and there's Adam the angel on the right.
Well, why is she the angel? Why am I not the angel?
She's wearing white.
Look
You're
at
wearing
me.
black.
Come on.
You know?
She likes Attack on Titan.
What?
Oh, right. I see. Oh, that's nice. That was a nice dig. Oh.
I will say that I am worried about the game, that it is just going to be like combat focused only. I mean, that makes sense.
100%. They're not going to put the story in there. Like I mean, you'll probably have like some main characters. It's a big IP. Like I'm thinking it's going to be mainly like, you know, the combat system because it's quite unique and maybe that will work well in VR. I don't know. It might make you motion sick, so they probably have to tone it down a little bit. But it's going to be a little bit like that blink mechanic, I think, that they're going to use. And like, I don't know. Like,
single player probably, right?
Ooh, it could be cool if it was multiplayer because you could take down a Titan together. Because you do usually, unless you're like the main character, you usually need multiple people to kind of string them up, and then someone stabs them in the neck. But I don't know. Be interesting to see.
Are you sure that she's the angel?
I'm not sure.
I'm trying to take down the Titans.
Maybe more of an archangel, fallen angel. Yeah, we got some adjectives there to attach to Adam, I'd say. So that's Attack on Titan with the, as I said, most rubbish trailer award of the year. I think it was very limited. It was lots of sparkly effects.
Behemoth all over again. The first Behemoth trailer.
I don't know. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, the first. Well, even that was better, but this was literally just titles. You know, you didn't have anything.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, but if you use flames to reveal text in a 2022 trailer, you know, you need to buy a new computer. You know, like, and make sure you install a different program than Windows Movie Maker.
To be honest, they were missing summer movie announcement guy, right?
Yeah.
This summer.
Attack on Titan returns.
I miss that guy. I'd bring it back. Anyway.
Virtual reality in full 3D.
To round up the showcase, right? We're gonna try and wrap this one up on upload. I'm gonna give my top spot here to H3 VR. So nice. The VR hot dog gun game, which has been going on 7 years in early access. Anton Hand is the dev behind a hot dog fingered inspired update for horseshoes, hot dogs, and hand grenades, which is abbreviated into H3 VR for those who haven't been around VR for very long. So I loved the particular hubris of this little 1-minute clip, embodying the raw spirit of not just Anton, but I think many developers who have to deal with meta. Asking the question, have they ever ported to the standalone Oculus yet? No. Still here, still updating, still only on Steam. He's got workshop support and just keeps adding to the game. But has expressed earlier this year, actually, that he might move on from VR after this project. Personally, I think we said this last podcast about the guy. I hope he won't. Just port to the bloody Quest and buy a yacht, dude. Winky face. I'm just kidding. Stay Anton, stick to your values, man. But sure. I gotta say, if you loved Spoon Fingers, if you know who Spoon Fingers is, right? Now we have Sausage Fingers. They were the creepiest things I've seen all festive season. But yeah, great little trailer.
I'm actually wondering if it's like a little bit of hint to that movie, Everything Everywhere All at Once. It came out this year, where there was like, because I saw someone posted it below there as well, where the person, I'll show it on the video, where the person actually has like a universe where they have like hot dog fingers. So it shows like these person with like the hot dog fingers.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, that was a ridiculous part. That whole movie was ridiculous. It was technical masterpiece.
It's amazing.
But it's mad. It's absolutely mental. The fact that someone actually wrote the script for that film, that took a lot of doing.
It's so good. It's such a good movie.
It's a good film. If you're into multiple realities, which we clearly are,
which we all are.
Yeah.
FReality.
All but the main one, right?
FRealities.
So that was upload. Anything that I missed, guys?
Well, I mean, you missed a lot, but I think it's a solid selection of like. I like the Attack on Titan one. That's definitely my favorite.
Oh, rowdy. All right, let's move on to the Game Awards. So the big gorilla in the room. This one, I'm really impressed at the way the Game Awards has been showcased every single year. Really on point. I loved even the presenter who kind of was our fluff talker, who was a giant pink bush, talking us through some of the introductory pieces of the ceremony, and then of course Jeff Knightley on stage, given his intro to every single piece. But I think the thing that will be remembered the most from 2022 is a kid named Maton Evanoff, who is now dubbed as and known as the Bill Clinton Kid, who jumped on stage with those awarded for Elden Ring when they were announcing Game of the Year, and proclaimed to the crowd a trolling message heard round the globe. It was an awesome moment to see live, frankly hilarious, as this kid is a serial troll. Not the first time he's interrupted an award ceremony. Please see this on YouTube. His reaction and admission of it being pre-planned. It's awesome troll sauce. I mean, he got pulled off stage. He got arrested. But what I really like, and I think a lot of people have not seen, given the view count, is there is a YouTuber called Neon Sniper Panda who hosts the reaction show for this kid watching back, his performance on stage. So search for Bill Clinton Kid Reacts, and you get to see that. It's great. He stays in character the whole time. It's just a second troll on top of his original troll. This kid's a legend in my books. So must have made the and he did it respectfully, right? It was a troll. He didn't interrupt the award ceremony. But I'm kind of curious. Did either of you catch that live or hear about the Bill Clinton kid?
I didn't catch it live. No.
But I don't know. It's just another attention-seeking whatever. So I don't know. It wasn't really.
I mean, I
don't want to say admirable.
Right?
Yeah,
No,
it's just like
admirable.
anything for views or whatever. So it's like,
I would equated it to the Will Smith slap, like that it was on a similar level, but I don't think it's that acidic, but it's certainly up there. I think it will be remembered for some time. Just goes down in internet meme history, I suppose. I liked it. I thought it was fun. I believe in the chaotic internet, and so I hope the chaotic internet keeps overlapping with the real world, because people from the real world who don't know Reddit or 4chan or those sites They just they get really surprised when this kind of thing happens to them in the real plane of existence. Next up and most important, I think, is the winning category for the Game Awards, right? AR VR category, and as if by magic, Adam was right on the money. Moss Book 2, the crowd pleaser took it. Congratulations!
She had inside information.
All the feels. What do I win?
I don't know what you win. Looks like you've already won something. I don't know. A lot of blinking going on there. For the audio listeners, Adam has her strapped with Christmas lights that are glowing and hopefully won't electrocute her before the end of the show. Yeah.
I mean, it would make a great video.
It would.
That would be a one-of-a-kind video, that's for sure.
That would definitely go viral.
If you're not so much for zombies, then just don't become one, is what I would say. But yeah, hats off to Moss Book 2 for taking the award. We also had a second winner, who's on my other side, which is Rowdy. Rowdy, did you realize that the Metastore picked for their game of the year The Last Clockwinder?
There we go. Oh. Well deserved. It's the best game of the year for sure.
I'm obviously among great company. You guys have great taste, and there you go. You've got The Last Clockwinder on one side, Moss Book 2 on the other.
Everybody wins. You get a prize.
You pick Zim.
You get a prize. Yeah, you pick Zim.
No one gets to talk about Bone Lab anymore. I think it's now dead. Okay, so with that theme of everybody winning, Sony absolutely murdered on stage. They took home like 9 awards, bodes very well for PSVR 2, their game catalogs, just everything that they've got, the clout behind them, the money, the studios supported. They mopped up a bunch of awards with God of War Ragnarok. And we also got a little bit of insight into another game that has been drip fed. This one's by Endreams, so Ghostbusters Rise of the Ghost Lord, which is showing now a bit of gameplay footage, and so we'll show that for you. It's giving a more cartoony style rather than gritty, and so again, I'm holding Rowdy to account here. If you're saying that visuals aren't such a big thing for you, do you think that this kind of aesthetic, being less adult, less spooky or scary like the films were, obviously designed more for kind of an entertainment spectrum, is right fit for Rise of the Ghost Lord? Do you think that that's the right approach that they're taking for Ghostbusters?
So that it's less spooky or that it's more spooky?
So the game is going to be less. It appears like it's going to be less spooky. It's more of a kind of colorful.
Do you find the film spooky?
That's but it can't be, and kind of
scary.
humorous.
Yeah. It's more of a it's a humorous, but the setting itself is a little bit more adult. That's the only way I would put it.
Really? I don't have that feeling. Like I find that I always thought they were kid movies even.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh well, I
thought so too.
It's a kid movie insofar as like a Pixar film is a kid movie, in that it is still steeped with some kind of adult undertones.
Yeah, of course.
There's a part where
so is Home Alone, right?
Yes.
So is Home Alone is also there's also topics in there that are probably not really for kids specifically.
It's more to keep it entertaining for an adult audience, right?
Yeah.
But I suppose it's more asking the question then, what would you want, right? If you had a magic wand, or a magic ectoplastic trap or something, what would you design your Ghostbusters game to be like? Would it be more like a Phasmophobia? Would it be like what we're seeing on screen, something different? I'm just kind of curious. What do you think would be fun?
I'm going to be honest, I've never been really that big into Ghostbusters, so it kind of passed me a little bit. I'm also not too big on scary games, so that's definitely something I would go for. But I mean, I'm not really waiting for this game, just in general. This is not something. I mean, maybe if I play it, I think it's awesome, but I don't really have I think the multiplayer aspect is really important, and in terms of graphics, I think that any kind of style can work well if it's something that a developer really commits to. Because I think something like this would even look great if it was cel shaded. I love cell shaded games just in general. Yeah, it is. And I think that some of the best games that I played are cell shaded. So I think I don't. The thing is, I don't. It's not that I don't find visuals important. It is like how the creator commits to the style and how how if they just take assets and they render something over it and they call it quits, that's not really my kind of thing. If it's hyper realistic, then that's awesome. But for me, a good game doesn't need to be like hyper realistic in order for it to work well. As long as it fits the style.
Hyper realistic doesn't really work on certain platforms. Like Quest can't do shadows very well at all. Like it doesn't do darks well, it doesn't do shadows well, it doesn't do transparencies well. So that limits you a lot when you think about kind of a Ghostbusters experience. Kind of agree with you. I think this is kind of the right track for them to be going. I don't know, Adam, are you a Ghostbusters gal? I'm kind of like Rowdy. I can take it or leave it, So
I like the movies. I'm more interested in the fact that this is co-op because I'm always looking for any kind of co-op. So the art style doesn't bother or stress me out too much as like how is the gameplay going to be for co-op? Because I'm imagining almost like a campy Left 4 Dead. You got like 4 players, but instead of going after zombies, you're doing ghost busting silly things. So as long as it plays well with other people, I could, probably look past some graphics. But I wouldn't expect it to be like Phasmophobia dark, but because it's more campy and fun. So adding some colors, I think fine.
Good.
But you bring a good trailer. Seeing the trailer, I'm not really feeling it. For me personally, like it's I think the multiplayer aspect is going to be the core thing in it, and I don't. The trailer doesn't give me a vibe of like a game that has like some solid kind of strategy.
Multiplayer elements, right? Yeah. So for me, the thing is, and we saw this with Stormland, if you and your co-op players have the exact same role and the exact same tools, right? What makes you rely on each other? One of the mechanics in Left 4 Dead, and I'm a huge Left 4 Dead fan. I 100%ed the first game, almost 100% of the second, which is not easy. Is the fact that you had to get your buddy up or whatever, and then you had to rely on the fact that you had different equipment, not by role. You didn't have to pick a different class, but the equipment you were carrying was going to be different, just by the nature of what you'd find on the ground, for example. So I hope they bring that in. I hope they know that lesson is an important one for a gripping multiplayer that really sticks and makes you feel individual while you're playing with others. So that's that
dumb question, but do we know, is this only coming out for Quest?
I believe it's also slated for other platforms, but I don't want to say that because I don't know it for sure. Okay. So anyways, the punchline here is Sony's killing it. PSVR 2 hype meter going up even more. It's great to see them win some more awards, studios to get more attention, money, sales, all that, right, is good news for us for the future of VR, I would say. On top of all of that, we got a Skydance Interactive Entertainment peek, a longer, we had a teaser, and now this is more like a trailer for Behemoth. Now, Behemoth is, in the trailer, looking fantastic. It's the same studio behind Saints and Sinners. The recent Chapter 2 that we got from them has been entertaining me a lot. I'm still playing it. We'll continue to play that.
Must be nice.
They are patching it like mad to get it ready. By the time you get your hands on it, Adam, I'm sure it'll be great and it'll look amazing. So you're not missing out, I think. I think this is very similar to when the Solaris devs launched on Quest before PSVR, their main audience. But the cinematic trailer showcases Behemoth's brutal yet tactical VR combat and this breathtaking traversal gameplay as players conquer, again, monolithic beings in this grim, like unforgiving landscape. It's story-driven, single-player. It's going to be launching not only on Quest 2, which I'm actually worried about, but also PSVR 2 and PC VR, where I think are going to be the platforms to play it if you have those, right? This is what you're going to do in the game, okay? So, actually, before I go into what the game's all about, what are your reactions to the trailer and Behemoth in general?
I think it's a bullshit trailer. I'm not gonna lie. Like it just pisses me off so much. Like I understand that you do a cinematic trailer for The Witcher. The Witcher has been famous with the books. Everybody knows. Everyone has played the first 2 games. You make cinematic trailers about the 3 ones. Everyone knows what to expect. I have no clue what this game is about. They show a lot of like visceral combat, this and that. For all I care, this could be something completely different. Maybe it could be third person. Like I don't expect it to be, but like I just wish that, why don't they just make like a regular trailer and show some actual gameplay so they have an idea what this game is about, like, or how it looks, or like what the style is. It's so annoying.
Mm-hmm.
Like, first they do that name reveal crap, like, which just shows, like, again, like, okay, this time it didn't have flames, but now again it's this, like, what am I supposed to know? I don't know anything about this game. Could be good, maybe, yeah.
I agree 100% because I see this and I'm like, okay, first, knowing that I want to see actual gameplay because I don't know. My thoughts just looking at the cinematic are how the heck would this even work for like a quest? Yeah. But then you kind of raises your expectations to be like, oh, this is going to be some kind of super pretty game. And then when you see, potentially the actual gameplay and it's like brown and
it's
I don't
like
know,
the Mad Hatter
low...
said, this might turn out to be a fucking card game, Who knows? Like,
yeah.
It reminds me of Starfield, okay? Because Starfield had so much hype built up for it. Very similar like the Elder Scrolls. Bethesda's great at doing this. They put out hype stuff. And then when they unveil the actual experience that you can be expected to be playing, it's almost always a letdown. But I'm unlike you both. Okay, my reaction was very similar in that I thought, yeah, right? Like, I was like, no way in hell this is going to run on Quest, right? Not looking like that. And so it makes me very nervous that you're going to get something really cut back that we've seen done on PSVR, we've seen on Quest before, where it's so much of a shade of its former self or of its big brother on PSVR 2 or PCVR that it's just like almost not worth playing. I love Skydance. I love the way that they're doing stuff. So for me, the hype trailer, as long as you can not use that to set your expectations for the game and rather just get yourself what's the lore, what's the world, what's the setting, then it's okay. It's more like it's like an intro to a Diablo game, right? They have amazing cinematics, but it really just sets the feel, the vibe for the game you're going to play. Like, whoever saw the Diablo trailers back in the day and thought that's what I'm going to be playing, and then you're playing this like 2D action game. Very different.
But Diablo's already established. What is Behemoth? Have you ever played Behemoth before? Is there a Behemoth book? Is there a Behemoth
It's true
movie?
across Blizzard games. They did it in StarCraft as well, where they try to give you the best looking cinematic so you understand the world you're playing in to kind of help your imagination along. So let me tell you what the game's about. So just fill in some of the blanks, okay? Because they have given those details. So in Behemoth, players will explore the plague-ravished wasteland of a once glorious empire, where its inhabitants are driven mad and cities have fallen to ruin. In glorious VR fashion, players' bodies and minds will be tested as they combat towering, colossal giants called behemoths. So it's not just one, there's many of them. Raw strength won't be enough, however, as they must use various tools in their arsenal to defeat these gigantic creatures and the other nightmarish enemies that scour this brutal world in their quest for a possible cure. I gotta say, coming out of COVID and lockdown stuff, a world that's scoured by a plague sounds kind of fun. All right. I am reservedly excited for this game. Why? I played Asgard's Wrath and I saw what was possible with that game, and that was incredible. Different studio. Saints and Sinners has been slowly prying itself open from a very linear point-to-point game to more open world, go where you want, do what you want, free will. But one question I have, just looking at myself in the mirror, not the meta mirror, we'll come to that, is how can I despise Attack on Titan's concept and love this? Like taking down massive bosses at scale. I loved Serious Sam in VR and in flat when I played it. This has a chance if it's less linear and more open world, I think. And of course, the world itself, the snow-covered, plain of ancient artifacts, gives me that Skyrim flavor, which of course I love. Mm-hmm. How does that all come together? So yes, I'm eager for gameplay. Does that give you any more of a sense of what's coming for Behemoth?
Not really. Like, I mean, for me, it's still like is this open world? Like, or is it linear? Yeah, I think that's already a big thing.
They're good at kind of making it feel like open world and different chunks, you know what I mean? So maybe they might do something similar. Because there was like a cave scene, I think, in one of the trailers. So maybe the cave will be an instance. Like have more like instanced areas that you can travel to, is my guess. Because I mean, I can't even imagine how they're going to have giant behemoths on the quest. Or like, I don't know how because like Attack on Titan, that's sort of a more cartoony look, so maybe they can get away with it because they're not doing realistic graphics. But if Behemoth is going to be as realistic as it's looking in the cinematics, which it may not be, we don't know. I don't understand. My brain can't.
I mean, it could be awesome. What just frustrates me is that I have no idea after reading that description or seeing that trailer. I have no idea how this game plays or if I should be excited about it. Does the story sound awesome? Yeah, it does. I mean, yeah pretty cool.
Well, yeah, the one thing that's got me concerned, and having played The Climb, Robinson the Journey, right, games like that, if you're going to be taking on a behemoth and have a couple of different tools or whatever that you need to do to take them down, and you are like in the thing, you're like holding onto a rope and trying to climb up that rope, how clunky is that going to feel when you're not doing what the game needs to take down the behemoth? Like, is the failure route going to feel like you fell off a rope, the guy smacked you away, batted you off like a fly? Like, how good is that going to feel as a
black
player?
Screen.
It's
fade to black.
Please not black screen.
It fade to black, and then you wake up on a card in Skyrim, right?
Whoa.
Rowdy, that would probably just make me happy. You know? That's the reverse.
Been here before.
Yeah, this looks familiar. That's funny. Oh man, think if they did that emulated Skyrim and that was like 90% of their game. Oh god, but I don't know.
I mean, it is an open
what's the
world.
answer though?
They have giants.
What's the answer for people like you guys? Like, you guys don't want like flashy trailers like old Zim. What do you want? How should a studio? It's your game. You're making Behemoth. How should a studio present itself then as it's developing the game? Just early gameplay footage or something else?
But the thing is, it's a VR game, right?
Yep.
So you need to sell the VR aspect.
So what?
Showing
demo?
a cinematic trailer? What does that? I don't know what that shows. Like I would
got
like
an interesting
to see
point,
some actual gameplay.
In chat, the name also makes me giggle. From Laxative Pain, they said that they think it was made for the casual audience of the Game Awards. So seeing gameplay is especially important for VR, but it's normal to reveal big games with flashy, expensive, pre-rendered CG. So I can kind of see that since this wasn't for a VR-specific showcase. Maybe they just kind of more general audience.
What is the thing you remember most about the Half-Life trailer? Half-Life Alyx.
Most the trailer.
Yeah.
Probably the head crab jumping through boxes.
Exactly.
At the player.
Exactly. At the player. The entire way that they did that, like that smooth locomotion where the Vertigo 2 guy I think worked on as well in order to get like that kind of thing, so that you felt like this is a VR game, you know, this is awesome. The way that he interacts with like the gun, he picks up the mechanics. You show all of those physics that are possible in a VR game. That's what you sell. Valve has given the prototype photo with their Half-Life Alyx trailer. That's what I think would be a cool trailer for any kind of VR game if you have an unlimited budget in order to make that.
And if you're ready, right? Because they might not be at that stage of development. Like, so you would rather keep it behind closed doors until that's ready.
Like, the only thing that this trailer shows to me is that this could still be binned.
Yeah, fair point. And obviously you put a lot of money into getting the name out there, so better deliver now. All right, SIE. It's on you. All right, let's speak about other worlds that are VR-esque in nature. One that I still don't know how this hasn't come to VR yet, formally. I know in mods it has. Cyberpunk 2077. Okay, was also shown at the Game Awards. Now, Night City is bringing in Idris Elba as character Solomon Reed in the game. They already have Keanu Reeves as Johnny Silverhand. And looking at this trailer, I don't know what's real anymore because... you know, it's starting to look pretty damn good. And I know, you know, having played games as far back as like Quake 2 in VR, what even playing any of those games, being in that world, can feel like. I think the closest thing we've got is probably Lo-Fi. You know, that's another project that's coming up for PSVR 2 and other things. But the Cyberpunk world, I know it had a rough start. But with the new announcement that they had for their expansion coming to the game, you know, Cyberpunk VR, come on, guys. Like, why is this not a VR game already? I don't get it. They can take on Rockstar and people like that. Like, I don't get it. So, have either of you played Cyberpunk?
Yes, I put many hours into Cyberpunk, and I think the reason why they haven't probably gone into VR yet is they're just trying to fix all of the issues they had in the beginning, plus deliver the content that they promised would come out, which hasn't because they were So I think they're just backlogged. Like I think it's just a massive backlog on their end, and I don't know Cyberpunk in VR. I mean, yeah, there's been mods and stuff, but I feel like if they were to do it somehow, it would be very performance heavy. Like if it was true to,
I think the effort outweighs the markets a little bit as well. There's just not enough people waiting for it to play it in VR. It's better to put your efforts in making the DLC.
Well, there's another thing you can do with Cyberpunk now. For those who are affluent, well off, and have a Tesla, you can now play Cyberpunk inside your Tesla. Full form, native Cyberpunk 2077 in your Tesla. I say this because I know a couple of our listeners have Teslas. And so I was like, all right, let's cover Tesla features on this tech of a podcast. I have actually played games inside a Tesla on this tablet screen. I don't personally like Teslas. I'll just say that because they're a bit too like rounded corners. Like things aren't utilitarian enough for me. Like I would prefer just a pickup truck or something. But if you're they've got a frunk.
Cyberpunk in your Cybertruck.
love it, Rowdy. So that's awesome, you two. God, here I am stuck in the middle between these two.
Unbelievable.
So anyway, Cyberpunk in your Cybertruck.
Say it again, Zim. One more time.
You're gonna kill me.
For the people in the back.
All right. Let's move on. So we talked about Sony winning at the awards. Like, just oh my God, they did so well. We didn't see Reggie on stage for a while from his ex-Nintendo boss position, which was cool. But now we got news a couple of days after the Game Awards that Lady D is coming to 3D. So Resident Evil Village, we've talked about this on the podcast. I mean, this is years ago now that we knew that we expected this to come, and now it's confirmed. So we've got Resident Evil Village, Resident Evil 8, right, is going to support VR. We knew the VR mode a little time ago, but it's going to be free DLC. If you already had the Resident Evil 8 Village, then that's dropping at the end of February. So you can get your hands on the update at no extra cost. I personally have been saving myself for Lady D. Thank God. I don't know. I've experienced that game at all. I'll be honest, as an RE7 fan, which was a bit of a scary game, like quite a good horror experience, I've heard that RE8 has been catered to a more casual audience, which really made me cry originally when I heard it. I'll still enjoy, I'm sure, going through the game, but I've saved myself. Adam, you're nodding away. Have you played RE8? Are you into that stuff?
Yes, I played 7 and 8. I didn't try it in VR though, but I might be willing to try it with the PlayStation, mostly out of curiosity, and if it was on sale.
But when you say
I've already gone through the
curiosity,
story.
I'm nervous now. I just think of your TikTok, and I go, curiosity, and that TikTok account. I'm worried where this is headed, but
I mean, we'd have to figure out how to record on the PlayStation first, so don't worry about it. It'll take some time.
That's not difficult. I give you tips how to do that. You can actually even just remote from your PlayStation, right, to a PC. Very easy to do.
But I mean, for like VR, because doesn't foveated rendering kind of mess with the record? I don't know. I'd have to.
We don't
have to
know
go into
yet.
it.
This is the answer. We don't know yet. And creators are like, don't know.
And what I just don't. I mean, with this as well, like what makes me again a lot less excited. I'm sorry for being such a downer this episode, but like.
You are
this
the
episode,
devil.
yeah.
This episode. It says VR mode, right? It doesn't say VR.
It is the full game. It's the full game. It says in the tweet.
I don't doubt it's the full game, but it's the full game in a VR mode. Like what
Maybe
does
like
that mean?
a Vorpix version versus like actual.
Remember, this is coming from a Japanese studio, so it could be lost in translation. That's the way I read it. I don't read into this any further.
I don't know. I think this is going to be a little bit like, you know, I am with my VR experiences, right? Like I don't call something VR if it's not fully VR. You know, I want my hand controllers in there. I want to be fully surrounded, spatial audio, like all of those things need to be there to deserve the title of being virtual reality. VR modes that's Vorpex kind of stuff. Although it might look cool, like if you like Resident Evil 8, then I think it's maybe awesome for like 20 minutes to try it out.
Yep.
But like playing the game then again in VR because it's a whole new experience. I don't know.
Could also be rough on people. You know, RE7 was quite rough. It had, if anyone remembers, when it first launched, I think they fixed this subsequently, but they would black out in certain scenes. Yeah. And also, like if your head got near a wall or things like that, it was rough. Yeah. It was rough.
Would call that a VR mode. I didn't. For me, that wasn't really virtual reality. Again, you had no real controllers. You had no.
Yeah, you just had the DualShock, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, at the time. Yeah. So, okay. So anyway, RE8. And then here I just want to give a quick thanks and plug to Adam's great job on the thumbnail this time around. I love having Lady D playing with the ball. Not playing with the balls. Say something else then. Playing with the balls. What are they called? What are the Christmas ornaments called? Ornaments. There you go.
Just avoid any term with
nice
B in it,
there.
maybe. We're good.
Nice save.
Yeah,
I'm not sure I saved it. Anyway, let's move on to the next one. Okay, so that was the Game Awards. Unless there was anything else that you two thought was particularly worthy of a highlight, we'll go to Resolution. So, okay, Resolution Game Awards. So we talked about this a little bit in the sponsor spot. I'm going to move into the games now and go just game by game. So, first off, Demeo, Reign of Madness. We had a tease to this prior to its launch. This is the 5th book in their 5-book saga that Demeo has had, which has been really awesome. Really, really awesome. Going after the Mad Elven King from the beginning to the end. It's one of those things where when you have anything that's a chapter basis, God, how many VR games actually make it to the end of like putting out their half games? I am so glad they completed the set. They totally deserve it. It's really awesome. But this Reign of Madness mode, we got to play as a team, so we're going to get to reflect on that. Jose got to be the Barbarian class, which is the new class, the guy who's got like the hook chain grappling hook and jumps over buildings and all kinds of fancy stuff. And then there's we also got to know that in the future we've got a PvP mode coming with Demeo Battles, which is like a card based. You set yourself up, stack your deck, and then go against an opponent. That's coming next year. They also landed on the Epic Games Store, added controller support, Steam Deck support. Apparently it runs very well, and are also coming to PSVR 2. With all their haptics and all that kind of stuff. So, Demeo Reign of Madness. Guys, what did you both think?
I really liked it. But I've loved a lot of Demeo. I feel like every campaign gets more difficult though. So I do like to tell people, hey, if you're just playing Demeo for the first time and you're picking this random campaign because it looks pretty, maybe start with Rat King because it's only going to get harder from there.
Whoa. Start with Rat King. That was the 3rd one, right? No.
I don't think so. Wasn't that the first one?
Yeah. No, the first one was the Elven Queen.
Yeah, Elven Queen. Rat King is hard as balls. It's really tough. We know we spent 4 hours in a grueling fight against the Rat King. Hang on a second.
Well, go by release order then, whichever that order is. And it's usually going to be easier. But Jesus. We may not have gotten to the end of this one, but we got to get an idea for the mechanics and the Scorpion Barbarian. So it was fun. I think it's a good addition to everything that Demeo already has to offer.
Yeah, it's really fun. I put a little tips video on it if anyone wants a bit of a kind of a spoiler free, I'd call it, introduction to the basic mechanics and one tough bad thing that's going to be fighting. Yeah, I won't say any more here, just for people who are purists and like to experience that stuff firsthand themselves. Rowdy, how was it from your sacrificial seat? How did you feel this time?
I didn't get sacrificed, so that's already a great thing. My battery did die. So I kind of sacrificed myself this time. But no, great game. It's always fun. I like the characters as well. I played as I think it's called the Warlock, right?
Yep, the Warlock.
So yeah, awesome. Like I like how different each of the characters are, so that they're like each have their own like kind of style to play with. But yeah, it's a great game. Great trailer as well, by the way. I like the cinematic part in the beginning and then showing actually some gameplay. Yeah, I like that.
Good mix.
Oh, man. So again, this is another one where I was reminded of Blizzard when I saw the trailer. It really is, again, a really cool trailer. The cinematic part. And again, that goes, but I think here you get that with gameplay, right? Here's the game and here's the world. And they're doing that. They're feeding that to you really at the same time, so that you don't get the bad taste in your mouth of, yeah, you're lying to me, guys, right? That's, and I do agree, there is something nice about that. So that's Reign of Madness. Okay. Definitely go play it. Great. And one little tidbit that I heard, now this is unconfirmed, but I'll say it because I heard it and it excites me, is that although they're closing the book and this is the final chapter of the whole Elven King saga, apparently they're opening up a new book and potentially that's coming next year, which means the Demeo good times are not over. I was a little worried that they were going to close it down and maybe use the game engine for another thing like tabletop board games or something. But maybe it'll be something else. Maybe we'll get something spacey. Maybe we'll, have something.
Maybe we'll get a Rat Queen.
You're saying it to that children?
Don't listen to me. Don't listen to me. Resolution, please don't listen to me. It was a joke.
Yeah. I had enough with the Rat King, to be honest. But the other really exciting piece of news from their lineup was that we got a brand new title. Now, we kind of called this last time. Kind of surprised that was it, but Spatial Ops, which they've been, as I said, teasing out on their socials for the last couple of months, is now in open beta on SideQuest. You can just sideload the APK file. Spatial Ops is a local co-op multiplayer. So if you liked games like Space Pirate Arena, there's a couple of others similar in that space where you got a fair amount of space to play with and you want to use a quest. In this case, you need more than one. You can play solo with bots, but the bots really, you'd kind of get pissed off at them after 5 or 10 minutes, I would say. This is basically a kind of a combat shooter, a lot of close quarters combat with some arcade style weapons. You've got like a Tommy gun and a grenade and all these different things. Really, really, really fun to play. I got the opportunity to play this with my kids throughout the last week, and it's been totally awesome. Just cleared out our little basement and we're able to play back and forth. You say all, but my daughter is dastardly. She was known for knifing people in Oceancraft, and this was no different, right?
Very proud.
How was
the
go on.
How was the pass through on the quest? Like, did the black and white? Because I'm guessing all of the actual in-game stuff is obviously color, but did the black and white pass through bother you at all for the real life stuff?
Right. From a creative perspective, when it's flattened to a video, it can look a little bit disorienting, a little bit mushy, and a lot of people on Twitter, including Anton, I think, were basically saying, "Well, f that, right? That looks like a complete mess. It gives me a headache. I get sick in 2 minutes." It is absolutely not that way in person. It is a very comfortable, well-grounded experience. The boxes, the colored objects, right, that you're putting out in your scene, like the large metal windowed barriers, for example, the weapon boxes, the crates that you can stack up as you make a custom level for yourself, is one of the most fun things about the game, is just like custom creation. They don't move an iota. And the most magical thing, and where I take my hat off, is if you ever played Space Pirate Arena, the setup was a complete ball ache. I mean, drives you mad, spend 30 minutes, an hour, sometimes ruins your whole game session just trying to get the setup right. I had a thing that we used to put down. This is Space Pirate Arena I'm talking about now, which is a great game, 1 versus 1, super fun, 30 by 30 feet, giant space requirement, fixed space requirement. And the problem with all of that was Meta's Guardian boundary system, because you'd have to do the line in the sand boundary. And actually, the only way that I found in a repeatable way to do that on 2 headsets, get them set up, oriented in the right way, was you'd like swing your arm as a pendulum. You'd stand in the center of your play space. You'd swing your arm back and forth. It would draw an X, basically. You'd swing it 2 ways, so you'd have like a cross line, and then you'd fill in the gaps quickly. But if you didn't do it within 10 minutes, it would blank your stuff out. You'd start over again. So all of that, pardon my language here, but all of that shit is done. It's gone. They sidestep all of the Guardian setup. You can disable your Guardian if you want. I just usually draw it wider than my, in this case, my basement. And all they have, Rowdy, you'll love this, XYZ, right? Like the 3 axes. That's all they have you set up. You go into one corner of your room, you draw 1 vector, 1 arrow, basically, 2 dots. You draw another vector to map your 2 walls. You then tell it the height of your room. That's it. And if you're on the second headset, that's all you do. And then you just network in with a room code, just like you would for Walkabout Mini Golf. And the reason they've got the code, I understand, is if you've got multiple people in the same area, like you're a VR arcade sporting this game, you're not joining the wrong lobby, right? But I would have liked there to be an option to not use the room code, because it's like, it's just me and just join the game, just click it. Especially when you're dealing with children and you're like, the code is 9745, right? And trying to get them to then input that into the system can be a little bit of a hurdle for family gaming. But aside from that, man, the game is great. It's really good. The weapons are like Team Fortress 2 weapons. So you've got a bazooka, fires the rocket doesn't come out instantly. It's slow and then comes out and does splash damage. The grenades are super fun to pop through a window and duck down and that type of thing. There's a health vial that you can throw on the ground and it gives you ebbing health back. But yeah, the customization, the custom levels, being able to save and name your levels and store a whole bunch of them. There didn't seem to be an obvious limit. It just means that people with multiple rooms, different size homes, as long as you can clear some space, you can clear rooms, connect hallways, all this kind of thing. I don't think it can do multi-level like Custom House Mapper can. So you can't go up and down staircases. But I have to say, if you get the opportunity, even for single player, just to dabble with this, go to SideQuest, sideload it, toy around with it. Loads of fun.
Am I going to have to buy another quest for my husband now? I don't know if I could justify that just for... I mean, don't get me wrong, like, Spatial looks really cool, but man, that's a lot of money to blow for one video game.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there'll be more. Like,
Wait a little bit. It's not good enough to buy another headset, I would just say. But we have had... Like, my son has been asking every single night the last week to come play this game. It's really great fun because you're diving on the floor or whatever. I mean, it beats Space Pirate Arena. I'll say that much. Space Pirate Arena, I love, but having to go rent a basketball court or whatever to go do it is one thing. Yeah. The other thing is this isn't just 1v1 and there is a limit. So I used to play with my friend Buck from Scotland to London and we would set up our same systems, orient ourselves. He'd be in a park. I'd be in my back garden. And we'd play multiplayer over the internet. I don't think you can do that with this, which is a little bit of a shame, but you understand because you need to have the exact same size space. And it needs to be oriented in that way. And objects, for example, I would place boxes over a television so the kids don't go smashing into that because naturally your body says, don't hit that. It looks like a solid object. So anyway, I'm enthused about the game. It's multiplayer up to 8 players, I believe. So yeah. If you want to go spend $2,000 on quests or $3,000 on quests, and you're a VR arcade owner, this would probably do really well. Again, just a reminder: outdoors with Quest doesn't work very well because of the controllers, and it's ill-advised because of the damage that you can do to the lenses. So I'd recommend people maybe not do that on a good snowy winter day when the sun isn't like coming through the clouds or whatever. Go out there during dusk or something. You could play outdoors, but don't expect more than kind of an hour and a half until the lighting levels screw up your gameplay. So that's Spatial Ops. That's the new one. And that one's really good.
Nice.
Next up is Bait. This one's for Rowdy and his dad, right?
Yeah,
it's
mostly my dad.
Fishing Buddies update. So this one's interesting because it brings multiplayer to Bait. Bait is a free game. You can just download that now. And it's a fishing game, very kind of cartoony, arcadey. You pick up, you fish for, as you would imagine in VR, you fish for and get a whole bunch of different fish. They've added some fish to the game as well. But now, and this is a part that was in the Resolution Game Showcase, which I absolutely loved. And hearing it was like, oh, they are geniuses, right? They're really smart. Not just because they're a sponsor and sponsor this podcast, but also because I think it's a really smart thing. They established what they call a Tinyverse department. And the purpose of the Tinyverse department is to implement in each of their games a social hangout. Remember when I was complaining about Among Us and how the cafeteria didn't have that? They're trying to implement that in all of their games so that there's a place where you can meet up, hang out, either before or after you have your game.
I love
smart.
That. It's like Walkabout. Walkabout does a good job with that too.
It's in each individual game at the moment. It's not cross games.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they're bringing that now to Bait with the Fishin' Buddies update, right? So there are 2 new levels that unlock once you've gotten through the main tutorial. So if you're like me and you haven't played Bait in a while, you go in, you go, where's the new update? You got to just beat the tutorial first, which is like 5-minute job. And then you'll unlock, there's 2 places, Caster's Cove and Penguin Point are the multiplayer ones. I think Penguin Point you could play with up to 12 people, kind of around an iced out open area where you can all fish, and it's like a tournament. And then there's a kind of a hangout place, which is Caster's Cove. It's got kind of a tiki bar, and the main the main NPC in that who's selling you stuff, he's sitting in there, and you can upgrade your gear. The coolest thing I thought, this is kind of silly, you could sit in one of those inflatable rings in the pond and just paddle along with each other, just hanging out. I thought that'd be so awesome to do, just sitting on a couch with some buddies, just talking like after or before a game.
Little things.
It is the little things, and I've never seen that done. Now I want one like that, but where you're on almost like a ride or some rapids, so you can like hang out with your buddies. The other things you can do in there are they have a remote controlled, like one of those like handheld remote controlled like speedboats and ramps. So you're like running around a figure 8 track. It's a 4-player, I think, game, and you each control a separate boat. And again, it's just something to kill time with. The thing that really got me, because it's feckin' difficult, is their Souls level difficulty stone skipping game, which wants you to throw an Oculus controller at your local monitor, right? I don't use the straps. I'm a safety-less dude. Hey, I've got 3 kids. What are you going to say? But the stone skipping game, if you guys can figure it out, tell me how it works, because I couldn't work it out. I'm trying to skip stones like every way I could. Couldn't do it.
It's like real life.
Just like real life. Just like real life. Honestly, this is true about me. When I was a kid in the Caribbean growing up, skipping stones, I skipped a stone right across my brother's forehead, and it was like a horror film. So the stone went right across his forehead, and I was like, "Oh God, are you okay?" And then literally, line of blood just came pouring down his face. So I do have a little bit of history in stone skipping, unfortunately.
Does that mean you win?
He wasn't scarred for life.
Right.
But yeah,
you don't have a special brother now.
That's no. You stayed away from me since then. He's back at home in Ireland now.
Okay.
So that was Bait and their update with the Fish and Buddies update. The other ones that we had, we'll just skip through pretty quick. Blast On has gone free to play. Not a surprise at all to me, honestly, especially because we've had other games now coming like Broken Edge and Silver Lights or what? Silver Lights? No, wait, I'm getting that wrong. Iron Lights that have done 1 versus 1 battlers before. And so what they're doing is if you purchase the game before, you basically get a bundle of coins or whatever in the game, credits to then spend on the cosmetics. So you're not getting shafted for having bought into it early on. I think that's really good. I totally welcome it because it's a fun game. And in particular, that's one of those family games where if you have 2 quests and you want to just play, that can do mixed reality as well. You can play in your own room or whatever. I don't particularly like that. I like when you just go to one of their fantasy setups, but again, you're just grabbing like and slow firing projectiles at each other that come at each other like literally slow bullet style like Max Payne. And that's another good one to, try out over the holidays. You got no reason not to. It's free. So there you go. Unless you don't have a second quest. Looking at you, Adam.
Oh, thanks for rubbing it in. Jeez.
It's not me.
But it's cross-platform, isn't it? Besides the being able to play it in the same space, I mean, I'm pretty sure it's cross-platform multiplayer. So
I think you're
not
right.
totally out of luck.
Yeah, good point. Because you got an index too, so sounds like you're all sorted there for settling couples disputes just by shooting each other. I totally recommend that.
Oh yeah, it's good therapy or bad therapy, depending on who wins.
Yeah, good point. The other game that they've got is Ultimex, which again is another kind of free-to-play style model. They announced their season 2. Very simple. It's extra skins and stuff like that. Personally, I like Notch better if you're looking for a VR version of Rocket League. This one's with mechs. It's more like stand and point and teleport between nodes. Notch I really liked Nock, sorry. Notch is a developer. Yes. Nock, because I really like the ice skating mechanic in that game, and it really feels fluid and smooth. I also like archery and, again, Skyrim, so that's probably got me there. But that's Ultimex Season 2 that's coming. Finally, on their 2023 pipeline, we've got a sporty game coming. They're going to invent a new racket sport. And that's coming for Quest 2 and Quest Pro. They show a tennis-like game on courts that look, again, like a shortened tennis court. And they said, this is the part that concerns me a little bit, unless it's, again, one of those things that they didn't mean. It says memberships coming 2023. So if they're going subscription model with it, like other fitness games, which they might choose to do because they make a ton of money, I just hope they don't. I hope it's a one and done, buy the game, get to play multiplayer with other people.
A play on words, like to get, membership to a club. So I'm pretty sure it's probably going to be hopefully a play on words.
It looks
like
it's
a play on words, but
like a padel court instead of a tennis court, right?
A what court?
Padel? You don't know padel?
Racquetball?
No.
No.
Padel.
Pickle?
No, pickleball it's like a North American new sport that is coming up, and in Europe you have more padel that is coming up.
You mean Rudolph rackets?
No.
Are we just making stuff up now?
Padel. Look it up later. Padel.
Padel. Sounds French. Okay. I'll have to look up Padel. And then Adele after that. Hello, it's me. I'm not going to sing that. Okay, let's move on. So that's our main rundown, the three major showcases. We had Upload, the Game Awards, and then Resolution Games. Nice. So into the newsreel. Okay. First, some sad news. I always seem to start with sad news in the reel. John Carmack has posted he's leaving Meta. He was consulting for a while there, having stepped down as CTO. We saw Boz jump in very quickly thereafter, after some leaked remark on Facebook, with a nice remark of that they would continue the adage of what would John Carmack do, like the old WWJD that was popular in the 90s. And earlier this week, this is where I have a theory, because we also had Palmer Luckey hint at a possible return to VR, possibly forming a new company. I don't know. My crackpot theory is that John has had enough of fighting against the upwards battle, the software stack in particular, that he's spoken about a little begrudgingly on various open mic sessions. I feel like he either got sick of that and kind of fecked off now to the side to kind of focus on his own thing, and his other company, or that behind the scenes, and this is what Palmer might be alluding to, maybe they're going to get the band back together. I would absolutely love to see them shake it up again and go head to head with Meta. John Carmack and Palmer first connected along with Nate Mitchell, Brendan Irebe, and a gentleman, I forget his name now, the guy who got run over by a car, sadly, were the starting formula for Oculus originally. But just think if they came together and started making headsets again that were actually focused in the right way on the right market, not $1,500 pardon me, but bloated devices that just aren't the right market to drive VR forward, in my opinion. So that is the news about John Carmack, and Palmer, and my crazy theory that maybe we're going to see the Beatles get back together. I don't know. No. I did have one favorite quote. What do you think? No chance?
No chance.
Yeah.
I don't believe
Adam, thoughts?
I mean, it would be hard. I think we all would love to see him do a VR, another VR company, but he's seen so much at Meta and has contributed so much. I feel like it'd be hard to contractually separate that. I mean, maybe, I don't know. I don't know much about legal, but I feel like there would be a lot of red tape involved.
Normally a timeline on it, right? And I know Palmer's been very vocal on his blog about his timeline. I think it was 5 or 10 years that he signed up to. So I don't mind if it doesn't happen in 2023. It could happen 10 years from now. I don't bloody care. But I want those four gents to get back together again. Come on. There's just something about them that I think that they could solve a lot of problems. And one of the things I liked about Carmack in particular is how tidy he kept the stack. You can feel the amount of bloat in Quest today, which wasn't there when they first launched it. And they have not kept it tidy. They have not tidied shop. And the thing is underperforming as a result. My favorite quote on the web, I'm going to give a nod again to a favorite now deceased podcast of ours, the Tested podcast that focused on VR, This Is Just a Test. Jeremy Williams, who's at Jareware on Twitter, said, "I'll never understand how a company has John Carmack on staff and doesn't defer to his every suggestion. Imagine the hubris of people who think they know better than an absolute god." And I can't agree more than that, But I know what really drove him out. It was the mirror and the arms and the clothing store microtransactions. Oh man, they're charging $10 for a pair of digital pants now. I put together a short clip this week on it, but here in Canada anyway, I don't know, Rowdy, if you've seen it in your Quest. So not only do we have the Meta arms and the Meta mirror, but we also have a store where you can buy stuff from English football clubs, and you can adorn yourself now buying even, studded nose rings and things like that.
Yeah, you know me, I've purchased everything already. I'm full on that kind of stuff. I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of that. It's not sarcasm.
Totally not sarcasm.
Would you? This is really the question, because I felt the devil pulling on me a little bit. I got in front of the mirror and I looked at myself and I was like, oh yeah, oh well. And I managed to put together an outfit that was decent, with the free stuff, which is normally my MO. I don't normally pay when I can get it for free. Would you buy? Will you buy? What do you think when it comes to digital clothing for an avatar that goes between games?
I can barely afford clothing in my real life,
It'll probably be more expensive too.
Yeah.
For a virtual pair of pants versus the cost that it would be in real life. It would probably be more expensive, to be honest.
Honestly, I could not, at this point at least, I could not care less. Like, maybe if it becomes more, I don't know, prominent, or like everyone has like a certain kind of presence in VR, like.
Yep.
But now, no. I just don't care. I honestly don't.
I'm going to push your buttons a little more. What if they were NFTs? What if they were like, oh, here's a pair of ripped jeans and it doesn't looks different to everybody else?
I'd buy them to sell them.
Or a t-shirt with a special person on it. I'm not going to say
special person.
A special person on it, I just think it's funny. I think it's coming. I think it's a future that unfortunately is coming. I hope it turns into what Rec Room currently does, which is there's some kind of an ecosystem to support artists, to create stuff that people can then buy, kind of like a digital Etsy. Mm-hmm. And if Facebook/Meta wants to make money from that, fine. It's a future that's coming anyway.
Oh yeah, it will happen. It will happen. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so with that, let's move into then perhaps who hasn't completed their Christmas shopping. Not many days left, okay? You got about a week. Last minute's presents suggested a little tongue-in-cheek for your VR and AR family. Okay. First up in this one, tipping my hat to German Rifter, we were exchanging the creepy, eerie ads that we were getting for all kinds of things like earwax removal devices on Twitter. Twitter has really gone a weird sideways when it comes to ads. And this is a face mask, right? It's only $60. I don't know, probably about 50 pounds or something. Probably not available over there. Thank yourselves. But after all that time in the headset, don't you just want to relax, listen to some of your favorite music, and have that beautiful tentacle creature from your favorite anime massage your face? Those suctions just massaging you away.
Oh my days, no.
A vibrating sleep mask?
It's a vibrating sleep mask with music.
With music.
It's a Bluetooth.
You can't put earbuds in.
That's right.
It's built in. It's very fancy.
What do you guys think?
No.
Would you want to find this in your Christmas stocking stuffer?
I guess if I got it for free, like if it was a gift, it'd be like, I guess I'll try it. But yeah, there's no way I'm going to be buying something like this for myself or for someone else unless it's a gag gift.
All right, Adam's other half. There you go. We just gave you a tip off. That's your vote. I want to see Adam on the next podcast with this thing on her face.
So weird. I'll be asleep and you'll never know.
Probably you'll feel good. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things that I expect the Bluetooth connectivity to be terrible and laggy and all that kind of stuff. So,
wait, is it supposed to sync up with the music, like vibrate to the music?
I did not look that deep, Adam. I did not look that deep. I looked at the store page, got
heavy
the
bass?
basic details, and I backed away. But yeah, German Rifter fed me that one this week on Twitter. The next thing, if you have a particular aunt or uncle who's a little unhinged, well, here you go. You can put them straight in the loony bin with a side-loaded horror game that brings a ghost right into your home in that black and white mixed reality we were talking about. It's called Huntify. This has been out quite a while, but it only keeps getting more patches and better and better. I love the fact that on their side quest page, Huntify says, we see people are taking this thing up and down the staircase in their homes. They're saying, please don't do this. It's dangerous and you're doing it at your own risk. Can you imagine running away from in the dark, in your house, mixed reality pass-through or whatever. You've got your Quest 2 or Quest Pro on, and you're just literally bombing it through the house, getting scared by creepy skeletons and demons that are chasing you. This is going to cause
first of all, this video that I've seen, they have like 3 or 4 like different staircases. I'm like, first of all, who has a house that's that huge? Kind of jealous.
I thought that was an American thing, but okay, I guess not.
I mean,
everywhere in the US.
A super rich American thing. I don't know.
That's the top Reddit post. The guy, I think it was a guy, responded to say, "Not my house," right? Like, I just was playing it somewhere else, but yeah, not a home.
Like, I want to try this, but I don't, because I like knowing my house is a safe place, and I don't want to like phasmophobia in my own home. I don't know, just like also getting paranoid.
Earlier in the episode, we were talking about renting a gym. Now you need to rent an Airbnb to play this game. You know, like god damn it. Like,
yeah, not a low Airbnb, one of the like expensive ones, right?
Yeah.
Have you seen Airbnbs these days? There's some crazy places on there. But yeah, I don't know about this thing. This is Huntify. If you do want to scare, or maybe put as I said, into the get them some psychotherapy. Your aunt and uncle who you don't like. They're already on the edge. They're already talking crazy politics. Put them in the headset and send them on their merry way.
They'll never want to come back to your house again because they'll be seeing things. Excellent.
I would do this, except I know, having played like a custom home mapper and stuff, the Guardian setup is probably awful. So if devs out there can borrow from Resolution Games setup for spatial ops, copy that. Actually, Oculus, copy that. Make that the gold standard. That works better than anything I've ever done. Super easy, set up in less than a minute. I want to stop faffing with Guardians. At minimum, give us walls that you can draw with a straight line. Why am I drawing in the sand still? Anyway, that's my rant done. Okay, next. If you got cousins around and you got to have a battle or brawler to get that manic kid energy out, then what's better and more festive after, watching Die Hard than some Mortal Kombat mixed reality, right? So here we've got a showcase of playing Mortal Kombat 2 in mixed reality on a coffee table. That would be awesome to have Raiden and Scorpion battling it out. It's kind of cute in a way.
This is better than I thought. I thought when you say Mortal Kombat mixed reality, I'm thinking of like, one person, you're like actual fighting each other. And I'm like, that sounds awful and dangerous. I didn't think like third person style. Okay, this is much safer.
Yeah, so third person, think cardboard cutouts arranged in like a diorama on a table, right? And you've got your characters kind of playing with each other or whatever that way. So it looks kind of nice actually. But one of those things that I think AR headsets in the future, through a system something like Vorpex, might be able to do for our old 2D games. Have AI look at your game and say, okay, break the scene apart, put it out in front of me, give a little bit of stereo depth to it, and voila, bam, you got a cool mixed reality cake for Christmas. Or angel food. I don't know what people eat these days. So that's Mortal Kombat and mixed reality. The next one, again, fan favorite here being Die Hard. Well, why not just take the Die Hard chopper and build it into your real life? So you thought it was bad enough running around your house. Now it's getting into your neighborhood. So this video is showing FPS Enhanced Reality, which we've shown before, actually, where someone was running through their house, running and gunning, and we said that was a little dangerous. But this is showing a full-on Apache helicopter hanging outside the window, and the guy's shooting an AK-47 at it to take it down, right? So all you need to do to complete the immersion, I think, is just sprinkle some broken glass on your floor, and wham, you've got your Die Hard. Don't do that, kids, okay?
VR to ER, right?
I mean, sure. You know what? There's something for everyone. Cool.
Devs love this stuff. Now, I'm going to take it back to your dad or your mom, who's kind of, they're not really with it. They joined Facebook just last year, all this kind of stuff. And you could, if their favorite film was Entrapment, starring Sean Connery and Catherine Zeta-Jones, and that got you all amped up as a kid, and they really enjoyed it, well, then you could have them play Laser Dance. Now, this is still under the tree, unfortunately. It's not out yet, but it's been making public appearances. This is the combination. It's the brainchild of Thomas Van Bowel of Cubism, and it showed him testing with another fantastic dev, Mark Schramm of Gravity Lab. So seeing these two working together sounds a real dream to me because it means they're putting polish in, knocking out some technical issues. And although we're waiting for 2023 to see this, what the game does in Laser Dance, for those who haven't heard about it, sorry, I didn't introduce it very well. You've got a button on one side of your room, another button on the other side of your room. Mixed reality game. There are lasers, like in I Expect You to Die style format, traversing the floor in a crazy pattern. And your job is to get your headset from one button to the other button to disable them. And in order to do that, you've got to traverse all these lasers and make sure you don't get yourself zapped in the process. And that's Laser Dance, coming in 2023.
That's fun.
Yeah, there you go.
I can feel my back hurting already.
Yeah, someone.
Right.
The thing that I think that would be interesting if they waited for was the implementation of legs. I don't know when that's coming, but people were saying, hey, you're cheating because you're just doing the headset. Your body's dragging through the lasers.
Oh, that's right.
But then when they said that, I thought, oh, God, think how much it's going to hurt to try to, maybe there's going to be two settings, headset only and then full body mapping. And then it might get frustrating to bug fix if your body is interpreted in the wrong way or, jags to the left when you aren't actually doing that. So that's a whole bundle of problems that Thomas is going to have to work his way through. Sorry, buddy. But yeah, something coming in 2023. But now since we're talking about the future, this week I saw a tweet and I want to talk a little bit about the Uncanny Valley and how it's quickly evaporating. Like if you've got, the home market in the Uncanny Valley is really plummeting lately. This week we saw a tweet featuring not Gordon Freeman, but Morgan Freeman. Except it wasn't our favorite Shawshank, gravelly voiced actor. No, it was just some white guy with AirPods in, working through a new reality that we have to come to terms with. This kind of digital masquerading. And I have to say, the representation is getting bloody close. I mean, look at the details, right? From the buttons on his shirt, the hair follicles. We're nearly there. I don't know if this is a metahuman or something else, but man, they're almost able to make you in a video game. That's what I'm taking from this.
I'm wondering if there's a reason why they picked the bald guy.
Good point.
Ooh.
Yeah, very good point, Ratty. Yeah. Anything else you can spot?
The lighting on him isn't spectacular either. I mean, it's clear enough to see his facial expressions, but there's a lot of shadows, surprisingly. But for people to, I guess, not need such strict requirements. But yeah, maybe the baldness also helps. And that's interesting.
It's difficult to nitpick on a Twitter video as well. I noticed quite a bit of compression in the upper scene between the two. For those who are audio listeners only, we're just looking at a comparison between really the upper half, which is showing Morgan Freeman, lower half showing, as I said, a bald white guy with AirPods in. But it was a very good mimic. For me, not quite crossing Uncanny Valley. Like if you saw that for a split second, you might think it's Morgan Freeman. But I think if you spent a couple of seconds, you'd notice it wasn't quite human, right? But we're there, nearly there. And that's why I think Cyberpunk should come to VR. Bring in some of the facial interpretation. We're getting bloody close, is all I can say. We're getting the next year or two, and one of these games is going to crack it. All right. Well, that's that. Last little bit of news on the newsreel before we turn it over to Adam for the releases. We finally got a good look at the front of the headset that Vive has been teasing. Yes, we've got a new Vive HMD coming. Lo and behold, it looks exactly like Bradley Headley predicted with his Flocus or his Flocculus. I'm going to stick with the Flocculus term. Got to stay true to the family. So hopefully, our correspondents, Adam and Jose, I think you guys are both going to CES in January. Great.
Yes.
Then hopefully you get to see this for yourselves. Well, The Verge had an interview with Shen Yi, who's leading product at HTC, when he was speaking to The Verge. I actually met Shen just before the Flow got announced and was around the dinner table with him. And unfortunately, my noisy kids, sorry, Shen, because I had like a 1-year-old who just wasn't having it, a daughter who unfortunately has hearing impairment, couldn't hear a bloody thing in this noisy restaurant. And so we had two young girls were both kicking off a storm. And there's this guy who I finally got to meet after so many years across the table from me, having dinner in a Chinese with a bunch of devs. That was in London. But anyway, let's give you a couple of quotes to whet your appetites to what we know so far about this headset. First off, it'll get you 2 hours of battery life. Seems to be the new standard. It's going to be fully self-contained and support controllers with 6 degrees of freedom, as well as hand tracking. sounds convenient as a headset that maybe will travel. That's where I've got my eye on for this one. The other one is, which I think is very important in today's market, particularly noting the literal headaches of the Quest Pro, we've made our new headset one of the lightest that's on the market. And for me, headset weight, because I have a chronic neck issue, is important. Like the total weight up here in the noggin, pressing down, can be a problem, which is why the Pro hasn't really attracted me. It's why I really liked the Oculus Go back in the day. And also why, if you have a Quest 2, replacing that strap pretty quickly is normally a priority number one, if you've got any kind of neck issues whatsoever, you know. So far, my immediate reactions to this are the design and the form factor look great. If it holds to your head well, it really looks fantastic. I have no idea the price. I'm going to guess like $800 and then something else in the other currencies. But it looks like something I would wear on a train or a plane. I know last time we were talking about the embarrassment of bringing, you know, headsets for home out into public to some extent, and that it just doesn't really fit there yet. This may be the first one that I've seen where I'm like, I'd use that as a travel companion. But what are your thoughts, guys?
I mean, just price point, I don't know if I would bring that out in public in case someone just wants to steal it from me. That would be, I think, my first concern. I don't know, maybe I don't live in a good area or something, but I mean, if you have, I guess depending on what modes it has, if it has passive, but if you're playing something where you can't, you know, like VR, just regular VR, I feel like somebody, if they wanted to, could just yank it off and just run away with it. I don't know. It's too expensive of a thing at this point for me to just kind of go around in public. With this sort of a thing, I think. So
you're not taking your anime girlfriend to the cafe just yet?
As fun as it sounds, not yet. Not until we get something that's like money that, worst case if it got lost, like I could replace. I don't know if we'll get there soon. It's probably going to be several years, but
reminds me of the original iPhone. Were you like I remember when iPhones were around and they were getting nabbed and stuff, and people would have them out in public on a train and you'd be like, whoa, like, that's a lot of money in your hands right there, pal.
But at least your eyes are like open, so you can kind of have, you know, perceptual awareness on, hey, someone shady's kind of walking near me, maybe hold it a little. But if you're in VR, if for some reason in public, you have no idea. You can't plan for that.
If you're on a this is where I would see its application. If you're on a train or a plane, fixed destination, you know, now, okay, train, maybe someone can hop off at the next stop or something, but on a plane,
okay, I give it that. Like, it's a little, because where are they going to go on a plane?
But yeah, honest, like Quest kind of sucks on a plane. Go is okay on a plane, but it's still not great because of the battery problem. But we don't have a great travel buddy yet, and I really want one. Rowdy, what about you?
I don't know. I find it weird that they announced it as a Meta Quest competitor. Like, in what way does it compete with the Meta Quest?
There are articles that are tying it that way because it's meant to bring some entertainment / gaming.
Right.
I don't think they announced it necessarily, but a lot of journalists are seeing it as a return of HTC back to the consumer market, which they kind of backed out of. And they've focused a little bit more on, I'll call it entertainment, yoga, you know, wellness applications.
The thing is, there's so many headsets right now, right? There's like almost like every week there's like a new headset releasing. Like, I don't know what to think of it. Like, I think it's difficult to say in terms of like, you know, who this really like caters to. Like, what kind of consumer are they aiming for? Because if it's really like, you know, they really, I mean, the articles that I've seen is really about that color pass-through mixed reality, but is there so many applications already out there for that right now? Like, and is that why they're saying more about the travel aspect, because it's pass-through, so you know people will not be able to steal something from you as easily as possible? Like, I mean, I don't know where this headset fits at the moment. I just don't really see it.
And that's been HTC's problem in the past, to be honest. Yeah. They've struggled to define a market. They've also struggled to define a unique selling point, a USP for that market. So I think those are the two main questions. Like, they're very good at engineering products. They haven't yet really sharpened their bow enough to stick that right in, but I hope they will. I still like their design aesthetic, where they're going, because one thing that Oculus seems to be tipped away from is the travel buddy. Like, I would like a travel buddy for VR. I don't have one yet. One that just allows me to do, even if it's more simple, even if it's more not really 3DOF stuff, but I don't know. I want something that goes well in a suitcase, travels with me. I can bring VR, but isn't as lumpy as the Quest. Maybe folds up. I don't know. We'll see. Some of Bradley's leaks showed some pretty nifty facets of that headset, but let's just wait and hear more. So with that, I think it's probably a good time that we swing ourselves towards the releases. So if you like games, well, if you don't, better start now. Here's some gamer cheer for you. So Adam's going to highlight games you can play now and what's coming.
Yeah. I am the Jose this episode. No pressure or anything. But first up, we've got a game that's might be familiar to some. It's House Flipper Pets VR. So there's the popular desktop game House Flipper, which eventually they made a VR version for. But now they have House Flipper Pets VR. So basically, this one is the same apartment renovation that you know and love, except this time now you have pets for added responsibility and dopamine. Currently, it looks like the only animal types are cat and dog. So you take responsibility for pets and the trouble they can cause, along with apartment renovation. You can clean, collect garbage, remove stains, fix damaged pieces of furniture, and change wallpapers. But also don't forget about the needs of these lovely creatures. You can feed them and clean up after them. And it seems like there's like...
I was going to say, like...
What do you mean, like flip them, like sell them, or flip them like physically? Because one's a beaut. Well, I don't know. Both might be.
This is rowdy.
I don't know.
I know activists are going to get upset for sure, but I want to flip. I want to flip some cats.
You know what? I'll tell you what. I'll give this a shot, and I will report back, and I will let you know on the selling and the flipping and the all of the things.
I don't know enough about House Flipper. Is it you do up a house and you sell the house, or is it you're more like moving from house to house? I just don't understand the core concept of the game.
So you start off with like a really crappy, dirty, rundown house, and then you like clean it up, you change the wallpaper, the floors, you can add furniture and things, and then you sell it.
So that's how you're supposed to. Okay, yeah, I've been doing it wrong all these years.
Oh God, maybe that's for another episode. I'm a little scared. But next up, we have, this isn't exactly new, but it's new for the Quest. We have Maskmaker, which came out for the Quest a couple days ago. So that one's from Vertigo Games, of course, like we mentioned earlier, specifically the creators of A Fisherman's Tale. So you basically play as a maskmaker's apprentice, and you learn the magic of crafting masks to immerse yourself in the intriguing beings within the game. I actually haven't tried Maskmaker yet, but I've been interested in this one. And this is going to be...
looks so
before
good.
I forget.
Are there any masks with the vibrating thing? No.
Maybe you can make one. I don't know. You could probably make them, I think.
Definitely.
But this one's $19.99 or around 16 pounds. And I forgot the price for the last one. So if you're really interested in House Flipper Pets VR, that one is $17.99 or around 14 pounds. It's on sale currently. So grab it while you can.
Yeah, I really like the price point of VR titles. To about the 20 mark, is like nice. I still, every time I open up the PlayStation store, my heart falls out of my chest. Like literally $100 for some games. Not joking. Not even special editions. Just 100 Canadian bucks. It's like, oh God. But yeah.
Well, Steam sale's coming up soon, so watch out for that.
Oh yeah, the holiday Steam. Oh great, yeah. Oh.
I will. There was another release actually that I have an honorable mention before I go to some updates that I didn't give Rowdy the trailer for. I apologize, but this one's another existing game that went to Quest recently, which is Compound, which you probably, if you're on Twitter, you may have seen this around a lot. So it's basically randomized roguelite, free roaming shooter for VR veterans. So definitely check that one out too, because it's been on Steam for a couple months, but I think at the beginning of the month it came out on Quest, right?
Yeah. I played Compound this week actually. It was I just played it for myself because I do that now, only 2 shows a week. And
he's got it. Look at that.
The reload mechanic is different than any other reload mechanic in any game. So, for example, there's a gun that's like a SMG, submachine gun, and it's got a rail at the top, and it like pings off, and then you have to attach another one, and click it in, and then fire again. Now you have two-handed capabilities, and you can cycle between guns on both hands. The they've got a really cool soundtrack vibe, the general fluidness of the game. I was a little disappointed in the tempo because this game feels like almost like a Doom or like a Wolfenstein type thing where you're kind of going. And I found the pace was a couple notches back from that. And I played, I think I killed about 300 enemies before I ended up biting the dust, but it's incredibly well polished. It's been out for a while. The devs have been working away at it. And holy cow, what's going on with Rowdy's face? No, it's only on my side. Oh my God, you look like a cyborg. It's amazing.
He's matching the game. I mean, it's kind of robot-y.
Yeah, absolutely. But good game. I think a lot of FPS fans from the 90s and stuff would really like it. But the thing that exudes, it's very well put together. And there's a bunch of awards. So as a single player game, you can really like tuck into and keep playing. You can get it. Didn't actually hook me. I'm a huge roguelike fan, but didn't hook me from that side. But it was a really solid FPS. And I think the guns, once you get a hang of them, feel unique. And so Compound deserves the accolades it gets from the VR community, I would say.
Yeah, it looks really interesting. Currently, at least on the Quest store, maybe the same for Steam or keep an eye out for sale. It's $19.99 or around £16. Now, I know that in the beginning, Rowdy was like, oh, you just need, 2 to 3 mentions to get excited. But I did have a couple for just updates, game updates. So these aren't new games, but just stuff that's come out. And I will rapid fire them. Don't worry. I know that, we want to get through our day. But I did have some that I thought was worth mentioning. The first one is Population 1 has come out with their Sandbox Early Access finally. A couple days ago as well. So basically, you can explore, create, play an endless variety of games with friends. There's 2 new playlists. There's Featured, which features popular, replayable, balanced 6v6 team deathmatch games, and then Adventurous playlists, which are the more creative or experimental maps that people have made. So that's an interesting one to try, and it's free. I mean, if you have Population 1.
That might get me back in because Pop 1 when it landed was really cool for a couple of months, and then I played the update with the hay bales and stuff, and then after that I just stopped going back. But the gameplay loop, the nicest thing about it is if you're on your own and you want a game with other people, other humans, Rowdy doesn't count, then I'm saying that because he doesn't like people, not that he doesn't count as a human. This new mixed mode sounds a lot like an old game that we had called, it was a VR game, driving game with like floaty cars called Distance. If no one's ever heard of this, it was a thing back in like 2016, 2017, but there would be community made maps. Some of them would be so dramatic and disastrous that like you couldn't play them. They were unplayable. And it was a voting system to uprate them. So very similar to what they're experimenting with here is the idea of, hey, give me something interesting or give me something stable. I love that concept. I think you've just sold me on going to go play some more Pop 1. So thanks, Adam.
Yeah, because you kind of get tired of the same old after a while. And, modding community, people who make their own maps, they're nuts. So it'd be really interesting to see what they bring to the table. Like, I know I'll probably try them again, too, once we have, like, some highlights of what people are playing that's been created.
Well, it makes it more dynamic is the thing. That's the thing I never liked about Counter-Strike back in the day when I used to run, like, gaming communities, was you'd come to one pinch point, and because of the timing, you'd always be there at the same exact moment. And you get that in VR now with things like Pop 1 on the standard maps because people just know exactly where to be.
Predictable.
So, yeah, and so this just brings in that element of like, are you good with a changing environment? How can you adapt? Are you adaptive? And if you like that dynamic gameplay, then this is fantastic. Great. Definitely sold me.
Exactly. Nice. Next up, we have, for those of you who are artists, Vermillion, the painting app, actually has a multiplayer update beta multiplayer update that came out very recently. So now you get to paint together with up to 3 friends, either public or private. And this has come out for both the PC VR version and the Quest version. Not sure if it's cross compatibility. I wouldn't be surprised, but yeah, that's fun. Now you can have your own little painting class together. Super exciting.
That's very neat. I'm definitely drawing stick figures in front of nobody else. No. Not doing that.
That's why you've got to practice. I'm just kidding. Zenith, they also have a Winter Festival update that came out. These are all very recent, so I could stop saying very recent. But basically, it's a world event with agent rank challenges to earn winter coins, toys, and valuable rewards. New winter-themed public events, quests, recipes, cosmetics, and as well as new creatures and pets. So again, if you're a sucker for winter Christmassy things, definitely check that one out. And finally, rounding off the list of updates, there's been a lot of updates to rhythm games this month as well. Starting off with Beat Saber, they've got their Rock Mixtape DLC, featuring tracks from Steppenwolf, Kiss, Leonard Skinner, Nirvana, just a lot of highly recognizable, famous rock bands. So that one's currently on sale for $10.96 American dollars, or around £9. It's very weird
They're
amount.
Making so much money,
discounts.
It's scary. It's so scary how much money Meta makes on Beat Saber. Jesus.
Then we have Synth Riders, who actually released a Groove and Essentials DLC for all platforms as well. This one includes a new disco-themed stage, plus tracks by Bruno Mars and Starcadian. So basically, with all of these, you can buy the songs individually, but I'm just going to list the group pack price to make it easier. For this one, if you wanted to buy the whole pack, it's $7.99, or around £6. And then finally, for the rhythm game round-off, there's Ragnarok, which released their Nuclear Blast Raid DLC. I love Ragnarok. It's a, But anyway, 9 new tracks from bands such as Equilibrium and Beast in Black, a new Longship, and Unique Hammer Skin. And for that one, the whole pack is currently, I believe it's also on sale. Currently for about $9.41, or around close to £8.
Right.
And that's all the gaming news and releases and updates, et cetera, that I have. I hope I did Jose proud.
You did expertly. That was amazing. That was great. Good job. All right. Well, one last thing I wanted to cover up before we get off of games entirely. I know last time we covered the point that Gorrilla Tag was making its way to Quest, but did you see the Gorrilla Tag trailer?
Trailer?
Yeah. So there's this trailer, like announcement release trailer, basically, that I think is their in Meta Quest store, reel. So when you look to buy the game, what is Gorrilla Tag? And you go click the button. Man, they did a good job selling it. They did it in the style of a nature documentary, like one of those classic David Attenborough ones. It's like, and a new baby gorilla. Look at him flailing about, not knowing what he's doing. And then he learns and he grows up. And it's really well done. And because I've loved Lemming's creation since inception, since the very beginning, I just wanted to support again and just say, great job on the trailer. The trailer is so funny. I recommend people go check it out. And they even talk to some of the kind of Gorilla Tag culture, like the cave wave, which is everyone's in the crystal cave caverns of doing the wave with their arms and stuff. Apparently it is. I think I haven't played Gorilla Tag recently enough for that, but it was a really comedic, well put together little trailer for Gorilla Tag. And if you haven't played Gorilla Tag, do it. Just don't do it near your new TV, because you're gonna smack something. I can't tell you the number of times I used to have my studio backed to a wall with my kids' room, and the walls got hit like 4 or 5 times because you're swinging like a mad person. Also, wear aerobic clothing because you're gonna sweat. It's very involved. But that's Gorilla Tag. Okay, so
I'm glad they decided to do that more than like a weirdly cinematic trailer for Gorilla Tag.
with real monkeys or something. They embraced it. They talked about Monkey, Monke. Loved it. Well, I just love it. I love it.
They kind of did like a cinematic ending. Like, I'm actually showing it on the stream as well, but like there was like a cinematic part to it as well.
yeah. The opening episode, I think, is. Yeah.
That's the very, very meta trailer of them.
Yep. They probably had someone, give them a little bit of a nudge. Anyway, all right. So chat, this is the end. We've gone right about on time. We're keep averaging around this like 2 hour, 15-minute mark. But this is the finale, the finish line. Ask your questions in chat or just sing us some Christmas carols while I spool off the Shold Times for old Harold. Don't ask me who Harold is. Okay. FReality crew live streams every other Saturday on YouTube and Twitch. The show is live from 10 p.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 1 p.m. God, I'm getting all scrambled up. I'm going to try that again. Let's start over there. Jesus, I just pulled a mic there. The show is live from 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, and 6 p.m. in the UK. If you're not here for the live event, not a problem at all. We do Spotify, SoundCloud, and iTunes for wee little Tim. Subscribe, thumb it up, and share with your mates, and no matter the weather, we'll keep you VR folks entertained. And chat, oh darling chat, whatever the matter, don't you go anywhere. You hold on to that bladder. Anything from these chatters before we go toast our buns? I don't know. Oh, what are you most looking forward to at CES? That's a great question in from Jack. That's probably one geared more towards Adam than me. I'm not going.
I hope that I get to try Vive's new Flocculus, as it's been lovingly called on this show now. I'm not sure yet. I don't know yet if they're going to have it just out for anyone to try. I mean, with an appointment based, or if they're going to have it, you have to go to a certain area. So I've got to figure out all the details. But I think that's one of my highlights. There's also going to the Haptics booth is always a good time. I don't think they're necessarily having anything new, but it's always fun to say hi to people. I always get these confused. Magic Leap and Ultra Leap are going to be there. Yes. So there's a lot of cool VR stuff. I have to dig in longer to the exhibitor list and see weed through all of the other stuff. Yeah, because it's kind of a big one.
Like, what do you hope for it in a more general sense? Is there something like that have you been to past CESs? I think you have.
Yes, last year I did.
Okay.
Interestingly, it seems like if I had to make a guess, though, because last year was kind of all about metaverse and crypto and NFTs, whatever. My guess is this year there's still going to be metaverse stuff, but it's probably going to be more also like AI and holograms. That's my prediction. Is the big thing that we're going to see a lot of shoved in our faces.
Okay, and I also saw Dark was asking in chat if we're going to be doing a New Year's Ear special. So actually, the next episode is a special one. We do this every year. I don't even know if Adam knows this, but we do a Slido thing to get interactive with the audience. We make a digital word pile about the trends of VR, and this really does a really nice timestamp of what was going on in VR at that time, what was the sentiment of the world. So please join us for that one. That'll be on just at the end of the year, same time, same place, right? In 2 weeks' time. Also, each one of us will name our game of the year, and if you can't guess what Rowdy's is, then I'm afraid something's wrong with your ears. Hopefully that answers that question. Anything else there I missed? Oh.
Basically, Pimax is going to be at CES as well. Wolf asked if I'm doing any interviews. Maybe not necessarily interviews this year, but I definitely want to. I booked some demos because I definitely want to bring some stuff to. It's not going to be obviously the New Year's one, but the episode after that, which will be following CES. So I think it's a week after.
Yeah.
I think, or like 1 week after CES. So I'm excited to bring forth some interesting and weird and wonderful, awful tech. So there's always weird stuff sometimes.
I can't wait to see what you've seen on the show floor, to be honest, because it is something special. Anyway,
Metaverse toilets.
Yeah, there's all kinds of. What's the weirdest thing you saw last time? Last time you were at CES? What was the most off the wall thing that you can remember?
I don't know about. It wasn't a product, but it was just marketing. Because again, Metaverse was huge then, so there was a whole wall that I saw. I think that the company had those just like seats that people would put headsets in, and they'd rotate and whatever. I don't really know what they were trying to produce, but anyway, their giant marketing wall had all of the big words on it. Had Metaverse, had NFTs, it had like all the buzzwords, and it was just ridiculous. And I was like, I had to take a picture of it. And I think there was a thread on ridiculous stuff seen at CES that year, and I threw that in there, and it was it kind of took the cake. I mean, it was a good summary of just like hot buzzwords and stuff people were interested in that year.
Do not look at FReality's website at FReality.tv. We totally didn't do that as our past branding thing. We might have.
God.
Yeah, that's it. That's also a place you can catch. The links to all of our other stuff is at FReality.tv. We don't usually push the website. If you want to click on and learn a little bit more about each of the faces of the show, that's another place you can link in. It's also in the description normally. And normally we also post timestamps and stuff like that after the show, which I think, given Jose is off traveling, I think I will probably pitch into that just after the show this time. Thanks very much, everybody, for tuning up for this. Looking forward to the next episode in 2 weeks' time. And I'm going to say this is my outro. Thanks to all, and to all a good night. Just remember one thing in Demeo this week. Rowdy sure put up a fight. So see you all. Goodbye. Cheers and happy Christmas to anyone who's celebrating.
Happy holidays.
Enjoy
Bye.
it. Bye.